Stop paying for subscriptions that you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. Use Truebill. On average, people save up to $720 per year with Truebill. Truebill makes it incredibly simple to cancel those unwanted subscriptions. Just link your accounts and Truebill will cancel them in one tap. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/bomb. Go right now. Truebill.com/bomb. It could save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/bomb. There's how many twos can you shout?
Oh,
222s.
Tuesday. Tuesday Daisy, as some might say.
2 Chains.
Can I ask? Can I ask a question out of the gate?
Go ahead, Jeff Bacalar. You have a question. This is highly irregular, but I'll allow it.
Who is more annoying?
Me.
The two people, or people who like see the Virgin Mary in their cereal and shit like that. It's the same vibe. It's the same energy. To me.
Wait. They shit out the Virgin Mary
It has
after
nothing
they
to
eat
do with
cereal?
shit. Let me walk that back a little bit. People who see the Virgin
Jeff
Mary in
Bacalar
like
reporting in saying
like
that the Virgin Mary is shit.
Well,
That's what I'm hearing.
I mean,
Oh
Wow.
boy, Jeff.
Wow.
all I have to say is hail Satan. But also, am I wrong? Like, it's the same exact thing.
I think there's
Whether-
something a little more unhinged with seeing stuff in your stuff. Like, look at this piece of toast.
Yeah, like, oh my God, Jesus is in my toast.
It looks like Earl
to
Hebner
eBay
or
with
the
you.
Lord. I can't tell.
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. The numerology. I don't know, man. There's just a I think that is it a generational thing? Like the number of people that are into astrology and numerology and all this other
Oh my God.
cornball stuff is I don't get it. It was like, the astrology stuff, especially, like, that was some stuff I always was laughing at as like some before my time 70s shit. Like, look at my Pisces chain. What's your sign, baby? Like that type of shit. And
It's
so
all
for that,
back.
it's all back.
But that was different. Okay,
That was different.
right?
Old is new again.
That you weren't living your life according to like the zodiac sign of the Gemini. You were just sort of like supporting it, right? You were just like, oh, this is my birthstone, right? Like I'm gonna get a necklace with a little
But now,
blue,
but now
right?
stones are like a big deal, like spiritual and shit. And it's like, oh, I just like that mine's purple.
I mean, I kind of just throw all these people in the same category, and people wonder why like there's a sizable part of the population that's like, yeah, the Earth is definitely fucking flat. Like we know this to be a true thing.
Wait,
I
like,
feel
all right.
like
not.
you are lumping some people together.
I know it's I'm casting a wide net. You want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. You know what I'm saying?
No, I
Like,
agree. There's
Lots of
there's-
idioms.
There's a
That's
lot
it.
of, I mean, the chemtrails people, the harp people,
Wait, is
Harp,
harp people
wait.
not people that play the harp?
no,
would I
it's,
miss
it's,
something?
it's spelled differently. What is that? Is it harp with 2 A's or harp with 2 R's? I forget. But
What's
it's
that
the,
one?
They make the chemtrails.
Oh,
That's the
got
government agency that makes the chemtrails
Okay.
and,
Got
and
it.
whatever else is going on.
Stand for something?
Yes.
Is it real?
Oh yeah. No, I
Well,
think
it's
it
real
is
now.
actually it might actually be some real government. Oh, God, now I gotta look it up.
Oh
Yeah,
Jesus!
like I could see it being like a real government
yes.
branch that obviously
It is
does
a
not do
real,
that.
yes, the high frequency active auroral research program. They study the ionosphere, and that's a real thing. But people are like, harp, since they're studying the ionosphere, they're the
What's
one
up
putting the
there?
chemtrails up there.
There's
What's
nothing
really
good
up
up
there?
there in the ionosphere. Stop looking at it. What
I
are they
just-
up to?
It's just like there's just so much. I just feel like there's so much of what. Like, has someone ever asked you genuinely, like, hey, what? Now that we've talked for 15 seconds, I gotta know what's your sign?
Oh yeah.
Does
Oh, totally.
Does that not make you
Yeah.
just like disappear a la Roadrunner in like a puff of smoke of the outline that your body
No one's
was in?
ever
Like,
asked me that.
Yo, it is so big. Like my
Oh,
partner's in
dude.
grad school to be a teacher, and one of the members in her cohort sat her students depending on their birth charts.
oh my god.
Just because they
Take
have
away our
access
license.
to they have access to, like, kids are born and stuff. They were like, all right, Theodore is like a Scorpio rising with a Phoenix sun, and then Bradley over there is I don't know, always in retrograde. The guy just doesn't like to go forward.
This little freak was born on a leap year. What the fuck do I do with them? Seat him out in the hallway.
F, you get an F for the
Yeah.
semester. Sorry, dog.
I don't
So
I
what's
don't know.
so
That's
what's
the-
everyone's signs now that since we're talking about it?
Well, I'm a Leo.
I think I'm
Makes
Aries.
sense.
See,
Also
that's
makes
fucking.
Sense.
You're part
Yeah,
of the
I'm
problem.
I'm
Is what you're
Aries.
doing.
What does that mean, though?
I don't know.
You're a piece of shit. I don't know.
Oh my god, it says
Yeah.
piece of shit.
Mhm.
Exactly. Me and the Virgin Mary, according to Jeff Bacalar.
2 peas in a pot of shit, I guess.
Um,
I'm an Aquarius, everybody. How about you, Jan?
I'm a Libra. I'm the one zodiac that isn't a.
You know what?
An
I have
animal.
always got along with Libras my whole life, so that makes a ton of sense.
You do
Why
that.
is
You
this-
do that.
Why is that person that like accent?
I don't know.
Like
I really
a Valley
I don't know.
Girl kind of
But
thing, right?
I don't know. I feel like that's just
I think
just what
that
that is in my mind.
yeah. I could see it. I could
It's
see it.
fine.
This is the Giant
Is there
Bombcast. It's February 22nd. I'm Jeff Gerstmann. Jana Cho is here. Jess O'Brien is here. Jeff Bacalar is here.
Yep.
Sinning it up.
Oof.
Mhm.
Feels good.
Yes.
Living in
That's
it,
a
baby.
video game podcast. I think that's kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Gosh. Now that we've gotten the important stuff out of the way, or I'm sorry, the preamble out of the way, Jess, you saw Fight Club for the first time. Tell me 5 things you learned about society and how it should work after
Oh,
viewing
man.
Fight
It's so
Club.
fucked up, man. You ever think how many Starbucks there are? Fuck.
Whoa.
I thought that movie was. I mean, it was. It's a good movie. I like it.
5 things,
It
Jess.
was-
5 things. You got to keep
it was
it
fun.
short and punchy.
No,
Oh,
I want to.
man.
I do want to hear this
No, I'm
version
just
of
kidding.
it. So
Yeah.
selfishly, yeah. Like, keep going. Yeah, a lot of Starbucks.
It's a great movie. It's a dumb movie. It's really funny how many people have misinterpreted a movie that it's very clear, I think, in its satire and stuff. And I did not know how gay it was. This is just one kiss away from being like the most cult gay movie of all time. Brad Pitt wears mesh shirts more than once.
He's so sexy in this movie,
He's
though.
so
How
hot.
does he-
in this
Oh my
His
god,
hair.
He is,
Do you think
his entire shit in that movie is so hot. I can't even.
his hair in general,
Dick.
though? Like, he
Oh,
has to wear
dude.
hair pieces, right? Like, he can't.
I mean, he's
no,
like,
no, that was his hair.
In general, though, he always has great hair, and it bugs me.
Yeah, it's
yeah, well,
perfect.
yeah. I mean, Jen, you don't sell yourself short, dude. You got a nice mop on there, man.
Yeah, but like
You're just covering it up all the time.
Brad Pitt. Damn.
Yeah, dude. What are you gonna put yourself up
Well,
against
it's-
Brad Pitt?
yeah, well, I mean,
Like,
he's like getting millions of dollars to look like Brad Pitt, and
Yeah.
so some of that money goes towards maintaining Brad Pitt being Brad Pitt. So
Mhm,
Fair
yeah,
enough.
so
yeah, if we had teams of people that were giving us all the fucking HGH we could handle and
oh, I
whatever
don't know.
else, we need to maintain movie actor looks,
the
then
magic.
yeah.
How'd you feel about Jared Leto in that movie?
It was yeah, he was in there. He was Angel Face in the credits.
Yeah.
They never called him anything. He's just
He-
incredibly blonde.
He really
Uh,
gets beat up, huh?
He gets the fucking shit beat up.
As he
I
should.
did not know. I did not know Meatloaf was in this movie, and
oh,
he was
very
Robert
much
Paulson.
so. Very much
What
so.
the fuck?
yeah.
He was great in it.
Yes,
Like he was a
excellent.
great actor. Not lying. But yeah, he was a thrill. It was a really fun movie with a lot of very dated CG in places for style reasons
Oh,
that
yeah.
I
Yeah.
absolutely loved.
But again, like this movie's 23 years old,
Oh yeah, it's ancient.
right?
Wow,
But it's
yeah.
very quaint because it's like it's very anti-establishment. But before like we had I mean, not before we had any problems in America, but before the shit really hit the fan, like everybody was like so disenfranchised and too many Starbucks, and that was like the main capitalist complaint was there's too many Starbucks, and it's like, oh, you just wait a couple months, 9/11's coming, that's gonna be fun for you, you
And then we'll all have Starbucks
motherfuckers.
tattoos.
And like, you know, wait a couple years, we're gonna have a housing crisis, because there's a whole speech where they're talking about like, you know, we don't have a Great Depression, we just have depression or something. It's just like, okay, buckle up then, fucker, because it's gonna get real bad real soon. Actually, wait for the 2000s to pop
So what you're
in.
saying is it was, you know, basically predicted the next 20 years. It's the most important film of the. I like that movie. I haven't seen it in forever, but yeah, I
great.
also
It was
thought
great,
it was like, this is a really good movie. I'm having a really good time with this thing, and. But it's become one of those things like on the level of like what is it? It's like that Boondock Saints, like stuff that's like if people are building their identity around these films, you don't want to hang out with them type stuff.
Yeah. I mean, but
I could see how a dude with only 2 brain cells to rub together would take the wrong message away from this movie.
I guess I think there's a way worse message to be taken from like Boondock for sure.
Yes.
Oh my God, Boondock Saints, and
Is there a
and
point
I
to that
can't.
movie? I forget.
I mean, the only good part of that movie is when Willem Dafoe is reenacting.
It was a firefight.
It was a firefight. That's the best part. But look, Fight Club at least has a lot more to say, and you know, I mean, I remember when this book came out and people were freaking out about the book in my circle of friends, and like. That to me was the sort of thing. I think the book came out only a few years earlier, but
Yeah, it was like 96 or something.
yeah. Crazy.
Yo,
I mean,
Boondock Saints 3 is in pre-production, y'all.
Oh shit.
Fuck yeah, man.
Didn't even know there was a second one.
Yeah. there was,
Veritas.
I knew there was a second one at some point, but
Dude, people, there's so many. I just remember that in college where people were just like, what do? I go to college and watch Boondock Saints when I get home. Like, that's it. I was just like, okay, brother.
Yeah.
Good movie. I knew the twist. Obviously, everyone does.
He's dead at the end.
Yeah, it was fun to. It was fun to watch it knowing the twist, because you can see all the cute little things they did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. You can see all the cute little things that they did to like make sure they were never like being active at the same time exactly. Like,
Well,
you know, you notice Ed Norton doing a lot of passive things, and
yeah, but they definitely do a lot of stuff where it's like they fight each other. Like,
yeah, and
they
he's just
have
fucking having an
hands on.
invisible fight and stuff like that. Yeah, no,
There's
no, I
that.
mean
Amongst
plot
us
action.
has not slammed themselves into a wall in a fit of fucking self-doubt or rage.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But I mean like
Before
plot
each
action
Bombcast.
wise.
Yeah.
One is more passive, one is more active, and stuff like that. And also, like, you know, they're never in the same room together when Marla is around and stuff like that.
Sure.
And they're never talking at the same time to groups of people and stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay. Like, they did some cute stuff here.
It's fun. It's fun.
Fight Club is a cute movie. That's what I'm saying. It's cute.
That is what all the reviews at the time definitely said.
Yeah.
They're just like adorable. ...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally adorbs.
I wanted Brad Pitt and Ed Norton to kiss, man. Telling you.
I mean,
Oh,
how do
they
you kiss
did it.
yourself?
They did
Ed
it.
Norton?
I'm sure.
Am I being stupid? That's Ed Norton, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's
Ed Norton. Yep.
Okay. I'm making sure.
The fucking weird house I lived in for a handful of years
I was thinking.
was
No.
actually not entirely
I was.
Oh,
unlike-
dude.
I was thinking of you. I was thinking of those old house stories that I've heard before, and I was like, "Man, is this the place?" But
Yeah.
also, like, I was thinking, like, "Man, was this like a genesis of what is that fucking subreddit with like guy rooms, pictures of sad guy rooms,
Oh,
and it's just a
no.
mattress on the floor,
Right,
and
yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
male living spaces, our male living spaces,
Influential across the board. I don't know. We never I don't think any of like, so when I moved in there, it was all college girls, and then as my idiot
fucked
friends
it up?
started, and they graduated, and so they moved out, and but it was like we thought that house was going to get torn down because they were going to build a Lowe's or something, which they eventually did, but didn't tear down the house. But like, so we were like, well, whatever, they're going to tear this house down anyway, so who cares? And it was surrounded by a bunch of abandoned houses also. And so I think we just got drunk a lot and stole a bunch of
Started a
golf
fight
balls from the
club.
driving range and started hitting golf balls at the abandoned houses and just
like Brad Pitt and Ed Norton
just
in the
real
movie.
dumb misanthropic behavior.
Made
It
a
was
lot of soap.
it was a lot of fucking fun. We did not make nearly enough soap, but at one point they stopped picking up the garbage, and it took us maybe 1 week too long to actually deal with that situation, and that was because the garbage was in one of the girls who moved out's name, and she was still paying it or something. I don't know, or she wasn't paying it, I guess, because she didn't fucking live there anymore.
Man.
But like they picked up the garbage for a good long time, and then she called me one day and said, "Hey, what the fuck?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I guess you should cancel that. You probably should have canceled that when you moved out. That's real dumb."
Man.
And so then we had to sign up for new garbage service, which was a good way to not have to pay the back fees on any of that garbage stuff. So, anyway, yes, there's definitely an aspect of that fucking house and the dumb shit we got up to
Male
that
living
is
spaces.
that is very much in line with that part too, the part where we eventually graduated to pellet guns and destroying everything, because as we're getting ready to move out, it's like there's a bunch of stuff here that those girls left behind, like 9 TVs and 5 couches, and so we have a machete here and we have too many couches, let's solve the problem. And just like there was just attacking a couch with a
man.
machete
What else are you
inside the
gonna do?
house. What
Yeah,
else are you
right?
gonna do?
That's the next step.
That's
Makes
the next
sense.
step. You're gonna try to mix Metamucil into vodka and then fucking
Yeah.
cut up a couch with a machete. What? What? Are you gonna
Good
not
times.
do that?
Good times.
It's a missed opportunity if you don't do it.
Exactly.
Totally.
That's
Totally.
actually in some sick way. That's kind of how I look back on that time. Is like I'm glad I did all of that dumb shit. As
Get
someone
out
who
of your
didn't
system.
who didn't have
Yeah.
college dorm living or anything resembling like that time, to just like fuck a bunch of shit up for a while and be like, all right, I'm gonna go buy a house now and never do this again.
of your many couches, were any of them a jouch or a t-shirt couch?
The hell's that?
A jean
Jouch?
couch.
No, they're not a
Jeans?
jouch, but there was they all had like bed sheets over them,
Mm.
not t-shirts. But
Back up.
wait.
Was
Friend
the-
of mine,
The jean
friend of mine
couch?
had a not a friend of
The
mine.
whole thing
had
is denim?
Yeah,
Well,
right.
it was originally
Zippers?
just a couch. It was originally just a couch. But it got crappier and shittier and grimier over time and over parties and over spills and all that sort of stuff. And
Okay.
eventually just kind of got lazily and crappily, shoddily reupholstered in whatever was around. This was jeans and t-shirts and stuff like
Oh,
that. So
that
there
is
That's too
Sad
much
on a
effort.
level- Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
But I-
god.
But I went to art school, so it's one of
Oh.
those like hyper fixations
okay.
that an art school kid would be like, I'm gonna make a jouch. Like,
Mm.
let's do this
Oh.
shit.
No, we had
Okay.
a porch couch. We just took one of the couches and threw it out front.
Nice.
Ooh.
And so, but it rained and stuff there, so that couch
Yeah.
made it a season or two, and then got real fucking gross.
Yeah.
And then we had to just go like, okay, which one of these abandoned houses are we going to put this couch in?
Nice.
And just lug it across the dirt road over to one of those fucking fucked up houses, kick the door in, be like, throw it in there, and be like, cool, problem solved. Look at all this graffiti here. I was like, oh, Chris got fucked up and decided to spray paint a bunch of stuff. Tim came over and spray painted a bunch of bullshit over, like just stuff. Things happened.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Mm.
I recommend it if you have the opportunity to destroy a bunch of shit and not have to deal with the consequences
Yeah,
of it.
because they sell that as an experience now. Like,
They do. Yeah.
Right, they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause-
I used to work in one of those destruction rooms.
there
What?
you go.
hmm It was a scam though. They didn't pay me.
So you didn't
Then you
work.
didn't work there.
You
I
just
did
hung
work
out
there.
You just hung out
I
voluntarily.
did work for them, and they were promising to pay me, and they didn't do
Oh,
it.
well, that's your
but
first.
my-
Yeah, okay.
Everyone around me was pressuring me so hard to get a job that I was like, okay, I'll take this internship at the destruction room in Hoboken.
Jess
And
said,
they were
What are you
Jess,
turning? What
I
are you
was
like?
fell
Jess?
over.
All right, here's what happens when you take
I'm a
an
schmuck.
old TV and hit it with a sledgehammer.
Look what I'm learning.
was
You
this
said
during
the
art
word
school?
internship.
Was this
You
during
said
art
No,
school?
this was after. This was after art
Oh.
school.
Jess!
After. Stupid.
Yes.
What did I say?
We're in Hoboken.
You know that like fucked up warehouse that's down by that one overpass to get into Hoboken?
Okay.
The
Yeah.
bottom
The
of
aqueduct.
Hoboken?
Yeah.
Yeah, the aqueduct. And like immediately on the left, there's like a big warehouse with like some random businesses in there.
Did you just
And
go to a warehouse where they were fucking?
They had a Craigslist ad.
I'm sorry.
No one answered the
Craigslist.
Craigslist ad.
You're
Come
safe
to the
now, Jess.
warehouse.
You're safe now, Jess. You're safe now.
Come to the spooky warehouse. We'll pay you $100 once to keep you working here for 2 months.
I feel like that's a very
I
natural.
edited their videos. They had like the little cameras, the GoPros on people's heads while they were smashing TVs and shit like that. And I had to make shitty little edits of their videos.
Wow.
Bad job.
Do you edit it to like what? To like Linkin Park or like what do you?
I think it was Cage the Elephant. Actually, Borderlands had just come out, so it was Ain't No Rest for the Wicked. But they, not only like didn't pay me and stuff like that, and I was just like, "Yo, this sucks." But my boss almost got me killed in a car accident because he drove me home, and like I lived in Hoboken at the top, so it's like a mile to walk. So it's like I just sometimes walked it, but he was like. He offered me a ride one day. He was like, Jessica, I give you a ride. So I was like, all right, cool. He had a great accent. He's Turkish. But Hoboken is a series of pedestrian death traps. Every single intersection has a stop sign, basically.
Bad for legs.
Bad for legs.
People with legs.
So yeah, like, don't be a pedestrian in Hoboken if you can help it. Because every car has to stop.
That's a lyric in that song, isn't it? Don't be a pedestrian in Hoboken.
Stop signs are a suggestion.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was admitting that like I have like 1 hour of sleep under my belt right now, and he's driving me a mile, and we almost got into 3 different car accidents, including almost getting T-boned by a pickup truck because he just blew through one of those stop signs. He almost hit a pedestrian. He zoomed away from that, by the way. I think he might have run over the bitch's feet or something. Like, I was like telling him to let me out of the car, but he locked the doors. Harrowing. It was daytime though, for the record. It makes the story slightly less scary. But yeah, when he finally dropped me off and I got out of the car, I like called him a psycho.
He's like, that's it. This internship is over.
Fuck you. And they ghosted me. They didn't even fire me. They just ghosted me and never called me in again. And then 5 months later, I get like a message from him. He's like, "Oh, Jessica, I need you to do a thing for me. Can you Photoshop for me a diploma?" And I was like, no. No.
Absolutely.
He was like,
You should have done it.
Yeah.
he was saying that a friend of his came to America to go to college, and he partied too hard, didn't graduate, and he just needed a diploma to prove to his parents that he graduated. And I was like, can I tell you how much of a crime this is? It's a federal crime to forge a document like that. And he was like, okay, never mind.
Guys,
and like never talked to me again.
This is something else.
Yeah.
So Fight Club was good. Fight Club was good then.
Fight Club was
Fight
good.
Club was great, yeah.
Check it out.
In conclusion.
It's on Netflix. I don't know.
Yep, sure.
It's somewhere. I
It's
had
everywhere.
it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, somewhere.
On Blu-ray, didn't watch it yet.
Pick it up on Blu-ray today. All right,
games,
well, why don't we talk about some video games?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Speaking of breaking shit, more people have gotten into beating gigantic robots with sticks and spears, mostly spears. Horizon Forbidden West. I've been playing a little bit more of this and just kind of noodling my way through it, and I am so done with the side stuff in that game now that I'm like level 20. I don't know, like I feel like I've seen enough revelations to kind of get a sense of where that story is likely to go, and I'm trying to decide if I still care or not. It's not a bad game, but I just like, there's a bunch of other stuff coming out, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like,
it's not a bad game.
I am pretty sure the first game is a better game in a lot of ways, not just in the like, hey, it came first sort of way, but in the like the way the way the inventory in this game gets so bloated with different bows that shoot the different elemental arrows and like the number of different weapons you can get and equip in the wheel and all that stuff. It just feels like that stuff is, and I have to go back to the first game and look, but it just, that stuff feels extra bloated to me in a way that I wish it should have been streamlined. Like that's even if the first game was like that, it's like, that's a problem you should solve. Instead of like selling me 9 different bows across 3 different classes of bows and all these elements and all this other stuff. But some of y'all have also been checking it out.
Jeff, I think you said it best. I've also just been noodling around in Horizon Forbidden West. I bounced off the first game maybe about like halfway through. I think just the story just didn't have me keep going, and then Breath of the Wild was out. Unfortunate timing, and I feel bad that I think the same thing is going to happen with Forbidden West. It's a absolutely gorgeous game, and one of the things I really wanted to talk about and highlight is how good of a job Gorilla, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, Gorilla. Yeah.
Does with the lighting and modeling of NPCs of color, right? Because it's an odd thing. It's an unfortunate thing that doesn't always get done well. But they have taken the attention to do it incredibly well, like textures, skin tones, and everything. Like amazing across the board. Everyone looks too pretty to be in this weird pseudo technological medieval world we're all in now.
Everyone's a model in this game. They're all so hot.
even the people that aren't like super svelte or whatever.
There's like 2 people in this game where I'm just like, oh, that person looks normal and not like super smoking hot.
Yeah. But like gameplay wise, I think like it's a little bit, for me personally, and I do want to emphasize it is a great game from what I've played so far, but I think it is a little bit too much of it's too reminiscent of the first one to keep me going, because I bounced off of that. And then Jeff Grubb of Grub Snacks had mentioned something that bothered him about Red Dead Redemption 2 last week, about how there's too much purposeful movement in that game. And that is so apparent. There's so much momentum with everything that Aloy does that it kind of
over animated.
It's like weighted just to like, when you're not picking up stuff, that's fine because you just like quickly grab it. But like when you're running towards something, or like when you reach a grapple point, even with the climbing sequences and how they're very similar to Uncharted, it's a little bit too much momentum and too much weight that it kind of takes me out of it, rather than trying to make everything look super realistic. Because everything looks great. I think it's just like the weightiness and the momentum of the movement.
There's
and
too much inertia. Like she takes one step too far. Like you let off the stick and the animation still finishes, and you're like, that's not where I wanted to stop.
Yeah.
She has an inertia of someone double her weight.
And I mean, like
I've also noticed that like
the stuff on her and everything she's carrying.
Yeah. But she there is like an inertia that is not that doesn't make a ton of sense for the liveness of her character. And like sometimes when she falls from a point and does like a landing, she lands like a 300-pound sack of potatoes, like thunk.
This is going to be a really weird, deep cut. And if it's not funny, I'm sorry, but it's funny to me, so I'm going to share it. She seems like she's just wearing too much stuff, right? And she kind of reminds me of the bird lady in Home Alone 2 sometimes, where she's got all these like tchotchkes and shenanigans all over. And I feel like if the bird lady in Home Alone 2 was like climbing up a thing, she'd be like all dizzy all the time too, because there's so much shit attached to her. You know what I mean?
So you're saying it makes sense. Like, all right, then it's just realistic.
Perhaps it is too realistic for its own good. There's also a weird perch that she will sometimes do. And I don't know about you guys. I should make a GIF out of it. But like, whenever she's making this perch on a ledge or wherever she is on a high place, it'll like the knees will start to tremor. You ever see that? Where like it seems like the game can't decide where her footing is.
Oh, which surface
it's just sort of like, oh, it's weird looking.
What's funny is that like, when games get this high fidelity and this incredible in the graphics department, it's really funny how these like little things somehow just stick out even more. Like we sound like we're complaining about such a weird bullshit thing here, but
it's fine.
It's somehow more apparent because
that's
the game is
uncanny
so
valley. Like
it's uncanny.
And the facial animations and stuff, I think, especially like in a lot of these cutscenes and all that stuff, I think just look great. Like that aspect of the game does look super fucking incredible. But yeah, then you got to play it, and like I'm just at a point where like, yep, I'm shooting the parts off these fucking creatures, and then I'm poking them with a stick for a while, and doing it over and over again, and it's not particularly difficult or You know, it's fine. It's fine.
And
but
I fell
I'm-
into the
We,
same rhythm of like hiding in like tall grass and realizing that won't always work now, and only to just find a different rhythm to fall into in I guess taking over or possessing the machine animals.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
the override stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was overriding a lot more in the first game out of the novelty of it. And now I'm just like, whatever. I'm just like gonna fucking shoot these things to shit and blow them apart and move on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's weird because it's a game that I think starts really slow and then you get to like the, what is it, like 5 or 8 hour mark or something, and depending on how you're playing it, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is getting a lot better. And then I kept playing it and got to a point where like, okay, the things that I thought were getting better I'm now tired of those too. Like it's just kind of just leans on the same stuff. And that's to me is the biggest problem with it. It's not even necessarily like a lot of people are talking about like, oh, there's an open world fatigue and this and that. But I just think there's just part of that core gameplay loop. There's part of just what you are doing moment to moment that I just don't find super engaging, whether it's like, oh, I need to overpower or override a charger so I can have a mount so I can go here and do this more quickly, or like just the place to place movement, the hunting for parts, the Far Cry-esque hunting animals. You can upgrade your pouches. Like I just like I've done a lot of that already in this game and the previous game, and I just don't really want to do it anymore. I'm just not having a good time with it. It's not that it's bad, it's just that there's too much of it and it's worn out its welcome, and it doesn't feel like they have enough going on in this game that is just straight up new that replaces that stuff. Like you get your little glider and that's like cool when you use it, but it's like it's so specific to a situation. Like I wish that there was just a lot more variety to it, and that they had maybe just, I don't know, replaced a bunch of the weapons with different. That's not a sequel anymore. They made another one of those, and like that first one is good, but a lot of the reason why that first one was good is because the story really kind of drove me through it, and this one isn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of those things that were kind of problems in the first game just stick out way more. So
They did make a couple of like gameplay tweaks to the combat and stuff like that, but I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem significantly different enough. I keep accidentally calling this Dawn instead of Forbidden West because it just feels like more of the same game. And if you want that, like, okay, cool, hell yeah. I wanted to bring up as a bitch that talks too much. Is it just me or does this bitch talk a lot?
yeah, there's just a lot of like, I gotta climb up here.
If there was a
very,
party,
like-
Okay,
I feel
that
like
was all of them. Like
narrates-
the
She narrates what
narration of
she's
like
currently doing all the
yeah.
time, and
and
it's like,
some
yeah,
of
I
it's
can
very
see it.
situational and like useful way to, like, but it like conveying information like that was the last of them. Like, okay, good, the combat sequence is over and now I can run around and get shit. Like that's useful, but also when taken in conjunction with every other one of those and every other fucking yes, you're right.
She narrates everything she's doing. She solves every puzzle. She never lets you take in the environment to think for yourself first about how to overcome some sort of obstacle. And it's as if like the developers had zero faith in the ability of the player
that's
to
the
play
first
the
game.
game.
Zero Faith was the first game. Forbidden West is the one.
But it's like, wow, like they really don't trust the player to navigate the world or remember a goddamn thing that was just told to them or a goddamn thing that just happened in front of them.
Do you think that was done design wise, like on purpose, because this is like a PS5 exclusive, and there's probably a bunch of people that bought a PS5 that may not have played the first Horizon?
Ooh, that's
that are
a
just
stretch, man.
You know, like people are just want the newest, hottest tech thing, and they may not have played the
Anything's
first
possible,
one, right?
But I think, you know,
like,
I don't think it's
need
a
this the type of narration she's doing is not to fill you in on what happened in the previous game or how to play the game, like engage with its systems. It's more like, okay, literally this is a thing that like almost verbatim happened. Like I don't remember what the mission was, but she was running around doing something, and there was to get to the next place, there was a very obviously climbable wall, and you can tell because everything's yellow that you can climb on, just like, you know, Uncharted and all that stuff. But Except Uncharted, didn't always do that. Sometimes it was white, sometimes it was environmental and obvious, but everything that you can climb on is yellow as fuck in this.
That's
or you
definitely
scan
like
it
like Dying
and
Light
it's
does
yellow,
that. Like there's they've
which is
moved in that
typical.
direction of like, hey,
But-
you need to be able to know what you can climb on.
Sure.
But yeah, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that I can tell I can climb on this thing. It's
Mhm.
fucking yellow. I don't need to be told because I have played a video game before, especially in the past 5 or 10 years. But she approaches, there's no other place to go. She sees this cliff and she says, well, nowhere to go but up. And then while you're climbing, it's like falling apart a little bit. And she's like, gosh, this place is falling apart. And then you're almost at the top and she goes, almost there. And then you get to the top and then she goes like, well, that's out of the way. Now to do this. It's like, are you fucking 4 times you had to guide me up a fucking cliff?
It's
like,
lonely in the Forbidden West.
And I
guess
wonder
it's
how much of that
lonely.
was driven by player feedback and focus testing,
That's
whether it was
what
like
it
coming out of the
feels
first
like.
game.
That's a
Because
decision for sure.
like, there was stuff
feels
that-
like
yeah.
like as someone, like, again, I'm bringing up my past as a former game master at an escape room. It feels like someone controlling me,
Mhm.
guiding me by the hand, step by step by step, because the game master, whoever made this, has no faith in the ability of the player to do this by themselves without being dragged by the collar through it.
It's the thing
It's
that bad
ridiculous.
platformers of the 16-bit era did, where they like literally would be like, oh, we have to put an arrow here because the level design is so bad that
Yeah.
people don't realize they need to go up and left. Like,
Yeah.
like Bubsy for the Jaguar, which I
Ding,
played on the site
ding.
yesterday.
Ding, ding.
But like, yeah, like
And it's
that
like-
type of thing.
Do you have no faith in the player, or do you have no faith in your own game design that you have to be doing this constantly?
I
It's
don't
tutorial
like-
stuff, but
Yeah,
it's like
but
it never
this-
turns off. Like at the beginning of the
never
game, I
turns
think a
off.
lot of that makes sense because you get like the pullcaster, the thing you can use to pull down walls, and when you
Yeah,
first get it,
sure.
it's not immediately obvious how often you can use it, where you can use it, and so having her go like, that looks like a wall I can pull down with my pullcaster. You're like, okay, cool. But she says it a little too soon. Like maybe if those voice
Yes.
triggers didn't happen for like another 3 minutes of like once the game detects you just straight up standing there going fuck, which happened to me like early on. I was at a spot where I had to climb, and I don't know if this was a color blindness thing or what, but I did not see the thing I could climb to, or had not picked up on the notion that everything was yellow because it's like literally the first big climb you do. And I was standing there like looking up, looking around, going like, I can't see what I need to jump up and cling on to. And then finally she was like, I need to jump up and cling on to, and I'm like, okay, like, yeah, no shit.
Give me a freaking moment to take in the environment myself and see if I
Yeah.
can figure this out with my brain and my abilities. It's,
Yeah,
it's
it's like-
robbing
it's
me
like-
of
it's not-
a very core thing that I like in video games: the satisfaction of figuring something out for myself.
Yeah, like it needs to like whether it was an option or whatever, it feels like she speaks up too soon.
Yeah.
Like if you're making progress, she should say something different or
Yeah, like
or
there's
not
gotta
talk
be some
or whatever, but-
algorithmic way around this where you can time how long it takes for her to say something, or a lot of the time when she's reminding you of a plot or quest thing that you literally just finished the conversation to get
Mhm.
that, she'll leave the conversation and then recap the conversation, and it's like, I was just here, I just heard that, I was paying attention, and then there's
she's
also
telling you that you
waypoints
should skip
and
the
everything like that.
cutscenes. She's
Yeah,
telling you like,
you
hey,
know.
don't fucking watch these cutscenes. They go
But,
on like
like-
they're beautiful, but they go on fucking forever.
Like that seems like a feature that is more useful if these consoles have internal clocks. Notice that I haven't played the game for 3 hours, then remind me that I'm not doing this thing. Notice that I turned the console off for a week and do need a reminder, hey, you were doing this quest, let's not forget to get this thing for that guy. That's the kind of constant reminder she's doing, and it's as if I just played 5 minutes of the game, shut it off for 2 weeks, played 5 minutes of the game, shut it off for 2 weeks. The constant reminders are ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it could definitely be better about that. But I don't know. Like I feel like there's so many different aspects of it that I wish were fresher, better, like whatever you want to call it. It just, I don't know. Like I am still kind of futzing my way through it, but it's definitely like something I'm returning to in like little bits and pieces and going like, oh right, I don't want to do any of these quests. Like
Mainline. That's it,
even the
baby.
main line, I'm at a point now where because the main line is like, okay, go get these things and then we
Yeah.
could go do the next stuff, and then you go like, okay, I'm where the thing is, and then this guy's like, well, yeah, but you gotta do these 3 quests for me, and I'm like, oh fuck you, fuck this. Like I just like,
Yeah.
this story is not interesting enough. These characters are not interesting enough to go poke monsters for another hour just to see the next bit. So I don't know. Like it's a shame. I that first game was pretty awesome. It had its issues for sure, but it was such a good like open and shut story in terms of like, hey, there's a mystery here, and by the end you were like, that mystery was solved. Great. And they should not maybe. I felt at the time when they even like started talking DLC or whatever that like they should not make another one of these. This is a really good game, and they should stop here because that story is done and it was good. But of course, this is the video game industry. That's not how anything works. So of course they're going to make another one, and I just feel like I was right then. I don't know. Like as I'm playing more of it, like the story they're trying to tell, all that, whatever you want to call it, like just top to bottom, there's just parts of this I go like, this is a really gorgeous game, and I'm not sure that it should have made it. And the loose end that they leave at the end of the first game was actually a bummer. When you get to a point where you finish the game and you're like, great, that's all, and then there's like one little almost like post credit, like boom, here's how we can open this back up, and you're like, oh, don't do that. Oh, don't do that. You don't. This was going so well. And so I don't know.
There's just no way to let an IP just be a one-shot thing anymore. Everything has to be this gigantic sweeping franchise or universe of content, and it's just like, man, sometimes it'd be nice to tell a succinct story in a normal amount of time that's enjoyable, and it's not going to spawn 7 sequels where we're kind of eking out, we're just squeezing blood from a stone of entertainment and story at this point.
Yeah.
If this was framed instead of a sequel, it just has like DLC type of thing, maybe like a upgrade type of deal, would feelings be slightly different?
If it was short, if it was DLC length and not like full feature like video game, I don't know, but
again, like I think my problem with it was just like, even a lot of my problem with this stems from the way they closed out the first game and have like a really good point where they can stop. And then instead we're like, but by the way, here's a little thread for you that we might pull on if this game sells well enough. That was kind of a bummer. Whatever. We talked that game to death. It is what it is. It's out. Let's talk about a game that's not out. Jan.
Yes.
Yeah,
At
Jan,
some point,
do this.
multiple weeks ago, you got on a remote. You checked out a preview version.
Yes.
Of Elden Ring.
Yes, and let me just say, I was playing it through Parsec, and even playing it through Parsec, the game sure looked dang neat. A little bit tricky as to what I can talk about, and I also don't want to spoil too much for folks that are really.
I have to say, this is an insane stretch of like when you can talk about what, when you figure that this game is out in literally 2 days.
Yeah,
and that today is the day that this preview thing that happened weeks ago.
To be fair, I did read it wrong. The preview embargo lifted last week. I wasn't on the Bombcast last week, so we'll credit it to that.
Okay.
Like being new, I knew that like game embargoes are sometimes complicated things, but wow, they're more complicated than I thought.
Well,
they were.
and
the thing is, they're usually not. They're usually not. There's a handful of companies that are very much in there. Like on this day, you can talk about this, but you can't stream the game. You can't do video until the game is out. And there's just been a run of those lately.
Yeah.
It's usually more like, here's the day when you can do stuff with this game, and sometimes it's the launch day and sometimes it's not, but like it's usually way more straightforward.
There's been a lot of really interesting caveats so far in the embargoes that I've been exposed to thus far in my new gaming journalist-ish career. It's weird.
The thing that I definitely want to touch upon is, I feel like a hot topic right now is open world fatigue, right? We talk about it in, I think, the past couple weeks, talking about almost every other game, talking about like Far Cry 6, Dying Light 2, and I feel like I've experienced a lot of it, but not in the Elden Ring preview that I played through, and also Pokemon Legends Arceus. 2 very odd games to compare, but when you think about it, everything wants to kill you. So they're almost the same game.
All right, good.
I think Elden Ring would be more interesting to me if it had Pokemon in it. So
there is a Pokemon in Elden Ring, that little pot with the hands.
He's
Pokemon,
more of an
basically.
acquaintance
Hot
rather.
friend is a
Yeah, he's a
what
friend
type?
rather than a rock.
So,
okay.
all right. So, again, the impossible task of asking you questions like, okay, so what, Jam? What can you tell us?
I can loosely talk about like the first. Gosh, I don't want to say biome. Let's say map area.
Yeah.
Like the little neighborhood you get dropped into after the initial opening. It's from what I played, it's very gorgeous. And the game doesn't really. I don't know. I guess it's probably on purpose because it's a From game. Doesn't really tell you squat in terms of what to do.
Yeah.
And
do you find that is do you find that is more vexing in an open world than it is in a game where it's like, hey, there are 5 corridors to go down, pick one?
I feel like it's going to wind up inflating playtimes for folks because there is a system to loosely kind of guide the player as to a vague area of where to go. But at the same time, the game is totally like, you know what? If you don't want to go where we're kind of pointing you at, just go over there if you can make it. And I think having the mount or the spiritual horse, spectral horse, which has a great name,
Torrent,
really opens up the odd ways you can break this game in the platforming aspects. You know how sometimes you can take a fall by you just double jump at the very last minute, and then you wind up in an area that you think you shouldn't be able to because everything can just kill you faster. You can totally bone yourself and get yourself over there. When in the preview I was playing as, I was locked into a certain class, so I can't speak to the other classes that have been revealed. I was a melee focused class with a shield and a sword, go figure. And I kind of just had fun messing around this scary open world. And I think because it's a From game and you know these stakes that come with it, it brought out this fear that I used to have playing games of like, I'm kind of scared to do anything because I really don't want to lose anything. And that like, if I am setting out to go somewhere, I need to make sure I am fully stocked up or I am tight enough with like the controls and everything that I can hightail it back around. The neat thing is with all the sites of grace or the bonfire equivalents here, they'll do the whole rigmarole again of refilling your flask equivalents and respawning all the enemies, but you can fast travel at any point to them, which is neat, especially when you kind of bone yourself and you kind of wind up too far in a direction.
Or like on a ledge that like if you're going to fall off that ledge, you would definitely die.
Yes. And maybe you have
just as an example, just throwing out an example.
Yes.
Hypothetical.
Maybe something like that.
I will say though, if you do fall, they are a little bit more generous with where your soul collection is. It's not going to drop it right where you died from your. If you fell off a cliff face, it'll instead spawn it on the peak. Something I would recommend for folks that are a scaredy cat approaching a game like this is, constantly click that lock on button because stuff is hiding everywhere. Stuff is hiding everywhere, and everyone is ready and not ready to kill you at the same time. It's weird to call this game beautiful because there are beautiful aspects. The world looks really neat, like these golden trees and like this golden dust, not gold dust, just floating around everywhere. But like the way that From has this ability to craft enemies and NPCs and I guess the player characters as well, that just look absolutely grotesque. It's not even the stuff of nightmares. It's like the stuff that like, it's like if a professional animator took the weird scribbles you made as a child and then ran them through some type of like machine, and that is great. And
It's
because
like Drawn to Death.
Exactly, like Drawn to Death.
Finally a comparison point for Elden Ring. What's this game like? It's like Drawn to Death.
But like with that, it's so interesting to approach the first time you meet certain enemies, because you're like, all right, you have hella arms. I think you're just the type to swing at me. Or like you'll find like different enemies and like, you have a bow and arrow. I think you're gonna shoot me. No, you don't want. Oh, okay. You're not gonna shoot me. You're just gonna flail around. Okay. All right. Cool.
See, I'll take that kind of art direction, the grotesque art direction, over a more traditionally aesthetic and gorgeous game like Horizon's sort of thing. Horizon is gorgeous, but it's in kind of the way that like a Thomas Kincaid painting is gorgeous. It's like, yeah, it's pretty, but it's just like very just designed purposefully to be beautifully bucolically pastoral. And all that,
Thomas
but, you know.
Kincaid's whole collection of robot dinosaurs I really thought was just perfect, though.
But but this will definitely appeal to folks that have been clamoring for like another Demon Souls, Bloodborne, whatever. I just don't know if this is going to be the thing to hook everyone into it. Like Sekiro, kind of like Sekiro and Bloodborne were like the two Souls games that piqued my curiosity, because like Sekiro is like, oh, that's a sick grappling hook. That dude's a samurai. Bloodborne, people won't shut up about this game. But Elden Ring, it's just
Good reason.
for good reasons, totally. But Elden Ring is just like, I can't for the life of me figure out why someone who has never played a Souls game would want to check this out, because you gotta dive all the way in, y'all. Like the verbiage that is at play here is insane. Like,
Nice.
it's like reading Shakespeare that has been run through a translator. It's like trying to read the Canterbury Tales. I don't know if any of y'all have tried to read the Canterbury Tales recently.
Yes.
But it is that one story where like the lady is like throwing up books at you. This is that whole game. And then like I just can't make a look.
How do you feel about the lore? I mean, have you seen in the preview section, in the preview part of the game that you played?
Yeah, and only that.
Is there lore? There's can you describe
Let's
a story, a
say-
setting?
Let's say there is like a doll equivalent, like from a Bloodborne, that kind of acts as like your guide throughout loosely your guide throughout your time with the game, at least my time in the preview. Lore wise, the class that I dropped into versus what I was anticipating as the setting of the game, especially hearing that George R. R. Martin is writing the story, I was very confused as to why my type of class was here. And then the more people I meet, I'm just wondering, like, why are you here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like we had a voicemail pop into the voicemail dump truck. 707 exit flew. You call into there where someone talked about gray soda, right? You just go to the soda machine, you hit every single flavor, and just get a weird gobbledygook mix of something.
Gray soda?
Got it. Yeah.
That is this game in terms of lore,
funny.
because
That's
yo,
funny.
they are fully committed to whatever they're trying to peddle to me, and I am like kind of into it, that I might just fall down different YouTube holes, and I feel like I need to learn about all these other Souls games. I don't know if they're connected. I
You
feel
are
like
selling this to me so hard, dude.
I feel like I need to go learn about Soul Reaver or something. I don't know.
as a big
I mean,
slut for confusing lore, you are selling this to me.
Jess, this is every way your type of game, and at the same time, not your game at all.
Ooh, I'm
This is
gonna do
okay.
it.
Here's what it is.
I'm gonna
This
get
is like
into Elden Ring, guys.
this is a weird Voltron of everyone's taste. Everyone
That's
on this
funny.
staff. Like, I feel like there is a weird aspect that will appeal. At least a little bit of this game will appeal to everyone on staff.
Ooh.
And you know, I'm just happy for Tam. I'm just happy for Tam. That
Yeah, honestly, that's what this is all about. That's what it's become for
Yeah.
me too. It's like I'm sort of like as long as Tam's happy, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like we just celebrate Tam Day, you know?
Yeah.
It's coming.
it's coming.
it.
Yeah.
What a sweet man.
Yeah.
But like
Love him.
it did the same thing that Bloodborne did, where it's like it's violently oppressive and makes me sad and scared all the time, but I want to
Yeah.
keep playing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like
Nice.
I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat, so I don't really like playing scary games. But this is just like, nah, dog. Here comes like these 3 bird-looking things, and then they suddenly don't have wings anymore. I don't. And there was a hot air balloon at one point.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
Stoked. I'm stoked, Jan.
Yeah,
You're selling it
hmm.
to me.
That's like, yeah, I don't know.
Endurance run when?
Elden Ring, the gray soda of video games.
I love it.
It's
I love it.
All right.
it's a
Put it
game.
on the box.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
put that right on the back of the box.
Oh.
All right. Well, that's out soon. I guess we'll perhaps have more to say about it in the
Yeah, I
relatively
feel
near
like-
future.
I feel like that
Y'all
sounds
should play
right.
it. Y'all should play it when it comes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't know, Jan.
All right,
Super Auto
hey.
Pets also came out on iOS.
Oh.
How are you? The true fucking the true hole is here.
I didn't sleep well last night. In fact, I didn't sleep at all last night. Just because like my tummy's been feeling bad, and I think maybe my body was making me anticipate the hell that was coming today when my notifications pinged and that someone told me that Super Auto Pets is now in iOS, and I will keep it as brief as possible. Super Auto Pets is now in iOS. It plays well. It's fine.
Good.
Everything's there. You can log onto your account that you made. So if you did do the $5 upgrade and upgrade to get your golden poop hats or your fancy backgrounds, that is still good to go. And I'm under the assumption that you are also, it is cross-platform, so you will be playing against folks that are on Android and Steam, because first match I went against someone with a golden poop hat, which is, of course, a signifier that someone has played this game way too much.
You're gonna lose is what it signifies. Yeah. You see that hat, you know you're dead.
Yeah. And I was seeing combos in like tier 1 and 2. It's like, yo, I've never thought about that before. Let's go. 3 fish. I'm gonna stop.
3 fish.
No. I'm gonna stop.
All right, 3 fish. Let's see. Just some, I guess, a couple more quick hits here on the game. Where it's a weird time where I feel like everything I am playing right now is stuff I cannot talk about, and that just happens sometimes.
It happens.
odd
You know?
time
Also,
happens.
the day of the week we record throws a wrench into the whole thing. Like
Sometimes it works out great, sometimes it doesn't. You know,
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
know?
it's a
you
weird
play the
thing.
game, and the game plays you, man. What
That's
can
right.
you say?
So maybe some stuff we'll talk about in a week or two, I guess. I don't know. The thing no one can talk about, which I guess actually ended up working out because we all forgot it happened, but the Nintendo Switch Sports beta happened. I don't know if you saw this. I signed up for it when we were doing the show on Friday. I was like, oh, great, I'm going to get that and download that. And then saw all their windows for when it was available. I was like, I can't make any of these windows. But apparently, as part of that sign up process, you were not allowed to fucking talk about it anywhere anyway.
What is that?
Weird embargo things.
And
What's
also,
going on?
was I crazy?
Yes.
Or were these little time windows each 45 minutes long?
Well, since it's a network test, they want to make sure they have as many players online at the same time as possible. That's why these windows are short, because they're trying to figure out, like, okay, this online game, will it break?
Sure.
We need to funnel everyone into the same session to make sure that we're actually getting the testing out of it that we need. So it's not out there for you to have fun with a video game.
Right. It's just like help us.
You're
stress
working
test.
for Nintendo.
That's right. You're working for Nintendo, and don't talk about it online. Everyone who filled it out, that's not some weird press thing. That was like,
it was everyone.
I'm glad you read it, because I did it.
I did not read it. I just saw like people like being very incredulous about this whole concept, being like, why wouldn't you want people talking about your game? And so whatever. I don't know. I meant to try it and forgot. So I can't tell you anything about it other than I didn't download it.
I think I downloaded it, which is the dumbest fucking thing of it all. It's like sitting there on my Switch, and I'm just gonna delete it now.
Yeah, I'm still excited about that game, but when things happen in Windows like that, I very rarely get to actually do them. Other demo stuff, Project Triangle Strategy?
Yes, I think that is the title they're rolling.
Full official name. I understand that the progress in this demo rolls over to the full game, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, it's neat. The demo is about like an hour-ish if you're just jamming through the dialogue and everything. But I think this is probably, I'll be super brief about this because it was a demo, but they do drop you into a couple combat missions. It's pretty much, I think, the prologue, if not the whole prologue. But I, unfortunately, and I guess fortunately, think that this is going to be the closest I will ever get to a Final Fantasy Tactics. The internet is super clamoring for it. Me, maybe Peter Brown, he really liked the first one. But it's done in the Octopath Traveler style, and I kind of fell off Octopath Traveler. But the tile feel, I'm glad to report, feels real good in this. The combat, there's a lot of stuff going on. You know how in Final Fantasy 12 there were like the attack markers showing like the kind of neonish arcs showing who you're targeting and everything, and like the AoE effects. All that is present here. I'm really excited because this game comes out in, I think, a week almost, March 4th. Next week, which is wild.
Yes.
So
very soon.
If you were a fan of Final Fantasy Tactics, maybe even Octopath Traveler, or you like some hot tiles, subway tiles, or whatever have you,
nice.
Check out this demo because whatever you do wind up investing time-wise will get transferred over. I'm really excited, but at the same time, the fact that this game is still called Project Triangle Strategy kind of...
I think it's not Project anymore. It's just Triangle Strategy.
They're like, we've greenlit the project. Now it's just Triangle Strategy.
Just Triangle Strategy, which is a really bad name.
It just makes...
the key is finding a joke that falls into what you would describe as a triangle strategy.
It's very stable, I guess.
It's syrup for slaves. For what is the triangle trade? It's just that, right? But actually, it literally is. I mean, isn't that game? It's like there's like 3 kingdoms and they each control a resource, right? So it's actually
gold, frankincense, myrrh, all that jazz.
The key shit that you need to run a kingdom.
Why didn't they just call it Trinity Strategy? Sounds better.
That sounds like something like a televangelist collective would, like, we are enacting the Trinity Strategy. We're launching all our followers into space. Everyone put on the shoes. We're going up heaven's chimney tonight.
Jesus. Yeah, that's your triangle strategy, I guess.
Yeah, that's my triangle strategy.
Yeah.
You know?
That HD 2D look, Square's out there saying they want to do more of that, and Live Alive, of course, is kind of like the next one of those, and they're like, yeah, we think we want to do more in this style when we remake SNES games. What do you think? You tired of it? You done with it?
I think I'm already tired of it. Like, I liked it when they showed off Octopath because, like, oh, cool, a diorama. And then they showed this off, and then they showed Live Alive, and then one of the Pixel remasters, and I'm like, okay. This is just like when one director comes up with some type of motif, and then everyone wants to just do that. Like, giant letters as the title card, placing our location. Now every movie moving forward is going to use that. But
redoing the Final Fantasy opera scene with real singing in different languages, too.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. As far as like the 2.5D sprite look, I don't know. I'm ready to move on already. Let's go back to like Brave Fencer Musashi looking PS1 sprites.
Bring it back.
Not sprites, models.
Yeah, why not?
Cute.
All right, well, that's just about it for games. We've got a couple of minor corrections here. Last week I said that Lost Ark was from a Chinese studio, from a South Korean studio. Smilegate is a South Korean dev. And also when we talked about the Super Bowl halftime show, and I mentioned that my wife was drinking age when 50 Cent was popular. She wanted to say no, she was actually in high school. When that happened, to which my response to her was, yeah, drinking age, high school, and she did not take that as an answer. So
how did this
I thought we were gonna apologize to the 50 Cent estate. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
for some sort of upside down business.
Absolutely not. No apologies to 50 Cent. You know what you did. While we take a break, we'll come back, we'll get into the news. podcast is sponsored in part by BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? BetterHelp can assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. And you can start communicating with that therapist in under 48 hours. It's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it's professional therapy done securely online. And there's a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally available in your area. And this is available worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist, and you can get timely and thoughtful responses. And you can also schedule weekly video or phone sessions, so you won't ever have to sit in a waiting room with traditional therapy. You know, if that's not what you're looking for, you don't got to do it. BetterHelp is here. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change therapists if needed. You can visit their website and read their testimonials. They got some posted daily here. You know, that's over at betterhelp.com/reviews. Visit betterhelp.com/bombcast. That's better, HELP, and join the over 2 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. Here's a special offer. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/bombcast. This winter, upgrade your daily routine with Bespoke Post and their new seasonal lineup of must-have Box of Awesome collections. Bespoke Post partners with small businesses and emerging brands to bring you the most unique goods every month. And no matter what you're into, Box of Awesome has you covered. From winter cocktails to cozy threads and camping gear essentials, it just keeps saying the words Box of Awesome here. Over and over again. Box of Awesome has collections for every part of your life. These are boxes. Bespoke Post sends you boxes in the mail with a variety of things that you may be into for the winter. What are these boxes? They got names for them. We got like the Terra box, which comes with a knife made by Bare Bones in Salt Lake City, or the Weekender, which is like metal hardware. It's like a bag. It's like a quality leather straps, all that sort of stuff. You want a barbecue rub? The Carnivore box may be for you. They've got an American barbecue rub from the Great American Spice Company in Rockford, Michigan. Oh, what about these knives? There's the Slash box with a knife made by Bare Bones in Salt Lake City. The Slash knife. They got tons of different stuff, you know, Bluetooth speakers to knives to shirts and workout wear and all sorts of other stuff too. What's gonna fit for you? That's a great question. To get started, take the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right box for you. They release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up, or you can skip a month or cancel at any time. Each box is valued at around $70, but you only pay a fraction of that price. And with each box, you're supporting small business. 90% of everything that comes in your Box of Awesome is from a small up-and-coming brand. Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code BOMB at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code BOMB for 20% off your first box. boxofawesome.com, code BOMB. All right, the podcast of light is back.
Yeah. Is it a Final Fantasy joke or a Thomas Kincaid joke? You'll never know unless you listen to the first part.
It could be a Death Note joke.
Oh shit. It works for everyone. Yeah, everyone gets a piece of this one.
Just like
that's
Elden
the giant
Ring.
Bombcast promise, yep. Just like Elden Ring. Why don't we get into some news?
I loved.
That was a coherent sentence. Which fits with this coherent announcement. Street Fighter 6.
Oh boy.
That's
Whoa.
it.
That's really it.
That's really it.
I have so many questions.
What
Ryu
about
is so wide.
What
I love
about-
it.
he's basically a truck? He's just like
Yeah.
a big old
Ryu.
like Peterbilt.
What happened?
Looks like I
All right,
I don't know.
that's fine. I
What
mean, people
happened
are
was
upset,
this:
you know.
they had a countdown timer on their site for, I believe, about 6 days, which I guess makes sense in retrospect. And the timer was set to expire at 9 o'clock on the night of the reveal. I guess was that last night or no?
It was Sunday night, I think.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
And it was coinciding with the end of their the Capcom Pro Tour tournament and whatever. So they had a exhibition match that Daigo was in, a lot of EX flash kicks, and that went late. So like the timer kind of they hit 9 o'clock, and then took another 20-25 minutes before they finally were done with the set, and then they had this extra long seeming sign off about like, what does this mean for Street Fighter, and oh yeah, like all this other stuff, and then got to the trailers, it was a very short thing showing Ryu with his beard, but also mad, as you said, mad wide.
Yeah, just
Mad
big old
wide.
trucky boy.
Yeah.
Wide.
Extremely thick Ryu. You thought hot Ryu was a thing. Now we've got wide Ryu, and
Complete with grill and headlamps.
yeah, cab over Pete is the other character, I think. Luke,
Your boy
who is
Luke.
your boy Luke, everyone's favorite Street Fighter. He's the final DLC character in Street Fighter V. When they brought him out, they said like, this guy's gonna mean something in the next Street Fighter. And so basically, they just said, oh, hey, the guy we said was gonna be in Street Fighter 6 is in Street Fighter 6, and also here's Ryu. He's gonna be in Street Fighter 6.
And
like,
they
whoa,
showed
what?
and they showed feet.
Yeah, they showed Ryu's foot, which looked like this plasticky, weird, creepy fucking thing.
It looked like he was wearing a shoe designed like a foot.
Yes, it looked like a clown costume. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe Ryu is not actually that wide, and he's
I
wearing a
promise.
Ryu costume.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Mm.
going to open up and
Merchandise.
it's going to be Sakura in there, and she's going to be like, hee hee, it was me. That would make a lot of sense. That's about it. Then they showed a logo and said, we'll have more news in the summer.
And the logo looked bad, and
It's
everyone
super
hated it.
original. What are you talking about?
Then they found out that it might have originated with an Adobe stock image.
So I wonder, I bet this didn't actually go down this way, because if you look at the stock
It's
image,
just a generic.
it's just, yeah, it's just, I think
Yeah,
the thing is like,
yeah.
it's super generic, and it looks like that kind of, and this is like the same person, right? In my mind, it's the same person. The fucking esports bro / MMA guy, exactly the same person, and it just looks like the Tap Out logo or something. Like it just looks like, or an esports team logo, because it's all the same fucking bullshit. And it looks fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I
looks
think
like-
it's just like it's just not good. But that's
Yeah.
Look, logos.
It looks like
logos
an
suck,
app.
right? Like,
Yeah.
It looks like an app that I have 6 notifications on.
Yes. Yeah.
And it bothers me to
The
look at.
6 does look like the notifications
Yes.
pip, which
And
is
it
pretty fun.
also looks like something that they threw together hastily to get this like 40-second trailer off, and maybe not the actual real fucking logo for the game, but we'll see on that. Especially after this reaction, I'm sure that
Oh,
they're
totally.
like, oh
Yeah.
fuck.
They will
Mm.
Sonic that shit for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
What if the designer was double dipping and wanted to get a couple dollars on Adobe stock, you know?
That's true. Yeah.
I mean,
We could go get that for
stranger
80
things have
bucks, I
happened.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So yeah, no additional real details here. This is the quote from their long. The press release took longer to read than the fucking trailer was. Street Fighter 6, the next evolution of the renowned Street Fighter TM series, which has sold more than 47 million units since it's charged onto the scene 35 years ago, is now in development. The teaser trailer showcased a glimpse of what's to come with the future of Street Fighter TM as series mainstay Ryu locks horns with new challenger Luke. The 45th and final character in the Street Fighter TM 5 roster was teased to have a key role in the next Street Fighter project, which has now been confirmed. Hey, this thing we teased? Yep. We weren't
It's
lying.
real.
Congratulations, Capcom. At least it didn't leak.
Yay.
Yeah.
But also, they did not necessarily lock horns. They just kind of flexed at each other.
Yeah.
And it still had that ink style that they've been rocking for too long now. And everything about this, it's not enough information, but also the information that is there kind of makes you wonder, like, why didn't more of it change or less of it change? Or like, it just feels very all over the place. The logo style, but it like changing drastically into this mess, but also that ink kind of flowing thing is still there. And I'm not really sure what to think. Yusuke Hashimoto, who's the designer of Bayonetta 2, is on the team for this one, which is interesting. This will be the first Street Fighter game developed without Yoshinori Ono, who is no longer at Capcom. That's very exciting, I'll say. And so I really want to see what they're going to do with it. But one of the things you could criticize about early Street Fighter V, you know, they patched it a zillion times. Obviously, they supported it for years. Is that they were too esports focused out of the gate. You know, the game didn't have a story mode. Like, this is Street Fighter. This isn't like, you know, this isn't some B tier fighting game. People that are not fighting game experts will pick up a Street Fighter because it's fucking Street Fighter. And the way that game launched was unforgivable for the wider audience that a Street Fighter brings in. I think it's the thing people like to ignore when they're like, oh, it's fine now. It's like, no, it's fine for the competitive scene now, and that's great. But it's fucking Street Fighter, one of the biggest franchises in the history of gaming. It's more than that. And they didn't treat it like it was more than that. And so this having a reveal at the end of the Pro Tour thing, having a logo that just reminds me of every generic ass fucking esports presentation and all that stuff, like, you just look at it and go like, are they going to make that same mistake again?
Yeah.
How do you think they've like burnt up goodwill from like
no,
the general audience? No,
not yet. I think that there are certain things that are eternal, and people's willingness to go like, oh, there's a new Street Fighter. I think that if they can have a coherent actual announcement in the summertime and say like, here's the thing we're making, and yes, we will have these things that will help the game appeal to more than just the FGC. It's the thing that Mortal Kombat gets right, honestly. And they sell well because of it. You know, like, that game has a wide appeal. And Street Fighter, you know, like those games when they were coming out on the Super Nintendo and fucking, they were blowing up. They're selling like fucking crazy because it's fucking Street Fighter. But you need to build a game that can be played and enjoyed by a wide range of people. And that was the thing they totally blew in Street Fighter V out of the gate. And then they like, oh, we're adding the story later. Like,
yeah, the last couple of Mortal Kombats, like, even my partner who has zero interest in games, let alone fighting games, have been like, oh, I think I like the story in the last one. Is it still the same one?
Right.
And I feel like Mortal Kombat has done a better job at appealing to a wider audience. I mean, you know, they put 21 Savage in all the trailer songs now. So.
Exactly. So,
21.
I wish that they would, the in-game music would modernize a little bit as well. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
When they do those trailers, there's always that feeling of like, oh man, are they finally gonna? And then no, they don't. But
do you think Ken, because you know he's like the yin and yang of Ryu? Do you think he's just gonna be real skinny? He leaned up,
Slenderman. Yeah.
Yeah, he went the other way. I mean, it is like that's a speed versus power thing, right? So if Ryu is quadrupling down on wideness and power, then maybe Ken is even more.
Yeah, he's like a Mini Cooper, where two Ryu's Peterbilt.
Yeah,
so that makes sense.
So Ken is like Ryu is 3 Kens wide, maybe.
Right.
What does this mean for Zangief?
Oh man.
He is
he like
be really tall.
Half the screen? Is he just like a fucking?
He'll have the physique of Strong Mad.
You'll just see his feet when you play, because that's all the screen will be able to capture.
Yeah, that's all I want to see.
Yo,
I mean, between his feet and Ryu's feet, we got ourselves some fucking.
Take those feet out of those big Russian boots, bad boy.
Yeah.
Think about the thighs in this game.
Lariat your way into my heart.
Yeah.
On everyone.
I'm thinking about those thighs.
How hairy those knuckles gonna be?
Thick thighs save lives.
Yeah,
it's true.
And also, like, the weird, like, fucking veiny flex that Luke does in that trailer. Is that going to be Chun-Li? Is her legs just going to go like, and like these weird? It looked like I was watching a fucking prototype trailer. Like fucking.
It was weird, man. It was weird. I don't know. Like I only have a very sort of surface level with relationship with Street Fighter, and I don't know. Like, are people jazzed? Are the Street Fighter freaks like, yeah, it's my shit, that whatever that was?
I think people were like clowning on it because of the logo, and like there's just not enough detail there other than the thing you already knew, which is we're going to make another Street Fighter and Luke is going to be in it, and by the way, Ryu is going to be in it. Like, there's no new information here.
It's tough to suss
other than
anything
looking
out,
at
man.
the character models and looking at that ink style that they throw in there. Like, you kind of have to look at that and go like, okay, the models look different, and that's potentially interesting. The presence of Luke means that it's set probably after the events of Street Fighter V, because it would be weird to fit him into the story somewhere else. But, you know, I don't know, maybe that's not right, but that's my guess. And then where do they go from there?
Does the FGC, do they like Luke?
I don't know for sure. I don't get the impression that he is like some top tier animal or anything like that. Like, I think when he came out, people were a little lukewarm on him. But I don't know for sure. I don't get the impression that he is like fucking burning up the scene or anything like that. But I think there's just like a lot of directions they could go, and you have to remember, like, Street Fighter V is a reaction to Street Fighter 4, which Street Fighter 4 was then a reaction to Street Fighter 3 in terms of like, we need to get back to basics. It's been a long time since Street Fighter 3, and that game did not have the mainstream popularity that Street Fighter 2 did because of the roster changes and a lot of the other stuff they did. By the time Third Strike came out, I mean, that's an incredible video game. But again, the appeal of it is maybe a little bit narrow. Whereas 4 was them saying like, we need to get back to this just being fun and this just being Street Fighter. And we need to have that whole roster of the when you were a kid and you played Honda, like, yes, Honda's in here. Yes, all these, yes, everyone is here. Street Fighter edition. Like, that felt like it was the guiding light behind Street Fighter 4. And then 5 in a lot of ways felt like, yeah, we're doing more of that. And, you know, I think the systems and meters and stuff, the V triggers and all that stuff, I thought were a more interesting thing to be in a game than the focus attack stuff from Street Fighter 4. Like, all the focus attack dash cancel shit was not my shit by the time people started getting good at it. I was like, oh, I don't know that I necessarily like this stuff. But so it's like 5 is a better game, but it felt like it was just honing a lot of the concepts of 4 in a lot of ways, I guess. And so now it's been a couple of games of that. Do they keep going in that direction because now it's esports and now they can't take it away because everyone needs to have their character? Or are they willing to do something bold and weird? And is that the right move to, like, remember Street Fighter 3 when it came out, like, it was just Ryu and Ken and a bunch of fucking new guys.
Yeah. I liked those new guys.
I did not. so that was like the big problem for me. It was like, this is a beautiful game and all these characters are fucking weird, creepy monsters.
Jeez.
Whatever. I warmed up to them over time, but it was because of the gameplay that you wanted to. By the time Third Strike came out, you're like, this is an incredible fucking fighting game. And, you know, and now Chun-Li is here. So, I don't know what the answer is. Like, the big mainstream play is, of course, you put all the World Warriors in it because that's what people know. The Street Fighter 2 cast has to be present, you would think. But they've done that for a while, and I feel like they need to do something different, and that's what the trailer kind of doesn't show. When you look at the ink style and some of that other stuff, is it just I guess I'm just looking for something more different, and hopefully, since they're building it from the ground up, ideally the netcode will be better this time out. Like, that's not been great.
Street Fighter 5 have like an auto combo system? No, okay. That has been a welcome addition to a lot of fighting games, that I can at least pop into a match or two and enjoy my time. But I understand that that is not a thing that the Street Fighter audience is not would not like in their game.
You probably it probably wouldn't. That
I
probably
don't see
like
it
a
flowing
mash
well, I
combo.
guess, yeah.
I don't. But Street Fighter's not that game either, where you have like the way those moves link together when the way they did in Persona, the way King of Fighters does it and stuff. Like,
I think there's just been so many of those style of games out that I feel like I've grown accustomed to that. Than having to be super precise with my movements. Yeah,
but Street Fighter is just not about that style of combo in general. Right. I don't know that they could pivot in that direction without making it feel too
different.
too different. I remember when well, I think it was Capcom versus SNK Easy Operation. When they put it out on like GameCube and stuff like that, and it was like they put a lot of the specials on the right stick, and so you could tap up on the right stick to do a dragon punch.
Oh,
and they tried to do that. Those concepts are way more in vogue now. I think at the time then, even I was just like, fuck this. Fuck this shit. Like, by taking the execution out of this, you've made it a game for goddamn fucking casuals. God damn it. But like, you know, then we had, was it Rising Thunder and stuff like that, you know, the guys at Riot, the game that they made before they got bought by Riot, and presumably the game they are making at Riot, kind of taking that execution thing out of the way there, or making it less of a thing and more about the mind games of when do you do the dragon punch, not can you do the dragon punch.
Right.
I think that's much more in vogue now. I think that's much more acceptable now than it was then. Whereas at the time, it was just like, this is fucking blasphemy what you've done to Street Fighter here, you monsters. Make people buy a fight stick, you assholes. Do it. Buy a fight stick, you asshole.
Yeah, it happened with Street Fighter 4. Like, those hooligans got me.
Yeah, I mean, I bought a new fight stick when Street Fighter 5 came out, and decided, like, I'm going to try and take this a little more seriously than I do when a Street Fighter game launches, and I'm just going to play a character and try and do well. And I had good fun with that game when it first came out. But, you know, it just kind of fell off. Realistically, like, am I ever going to, you know, not fall off of a fighting game as the player base narrows and as it becomes, like, infinitely more competitive and stuff? Like, you know, I'm not able to dedicate myself to a single game. And at my age, I might argue that would not be fucking fruitful anyway. I mean, Daigo is 36, I think. And they talk about him like he's an ancient old man.
Oh.
And it's
Daigo.
It's like, oh shit, fuck. Well, fuck me, I guess. And so, yeah, I don't know. I am always, until they put me in the fucking ground, until they burn me up and fucking spread my goddamn ashes in fucking space.
Oh boy, is that?
I will be someone who says like, hey, yeah, they're making a new Street Fighter, fucking A. So that's where I'm at with it. But I think what they showed is like they didn't show anything.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like there is a bit of a window that is closing for people who wax poetic about that series.
Yes.
They are kind of aging, you know.
Street Fighter has always been the game that closes Evo because it's fucking Street Fighter. But
right.
how much
how
longer?
Long is it Street Fighter, right?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. And but like also, what other game takes its place? I don't know that there's any game that is as universally binding to that community.
It's
as
the
Street
fabric,
Fighter.
the glue of the world.
It really is. I mean, like it totally is. Like it's not the best fighting game.
There. I learned this lesson, and again, I also think, and you know, I mean, like, Jess, do you have? Well, I should ask Jess and Jen. Like, I guess you have the sort of recognition of this series in the way that I guess all four of us do, but nothing will ever really replace the vision I have in my childhood memory of going to a mall one day and seeing people like stacked outside of the arcade watching like the syndicated arcade playing on the TVs that were like facing outwards towards the food court of like when Street Fighter 2 came out, and people just actually screaming in joy, like could not believe what they were seeing. Like nothing really will ever replace that. Maybe the sort of wild goose chase I remember trying to find Super Mario 3 in a store, like the one weekend that I tried to find it. But that has really been burned into my memory as like this, whoa, this is an important thing.
Street Fighter 2 was a cultural moment. And the thing is, like, it wasn't like that for me at first, because I played through it I had played the first game, I had played Final Fight, and like I saw Street Fighter 2 at a pizza place, picked Zangief because I liked wrestling, beat the game, and went like, huh. And then it was like 8 months later or something that like I suddenly realized what Street Fighter 2 really was, and got into it on a different level. But yeah, does it hold anything like that? Or I guess the other question is like, is there anything in gaming that you think approaches that for you?
I mean, I feel like growing up, Street Fighter was definitely huge because even my folks knew about Street Fighter. You know, like I think one year they asked me for Halloween if I wanted to be Ryu, and I was like, I don't know who that is. And then the cool uncle showed me Street Fighter 2 for the first time. I was like, he is pretty cool. And I think probably the weird factor in that is the movie. In that it is kind of like a
Movie rules.
It's kind of joined the weird canon of like old action films that you don't see too much of anymore. And it's probably because of JCVD, baby. You know?
Interesting.
Yeah.
But
It
like
was so good and so on coke in that movie.
But like even then, it's not even like I remember when I was in college and like the arcade on campus, there were folks like still lining up to play Street Fighter 3, and Street Fighter 3 had been out for several years at that point. And then like 4 kind of blew up with my friend group. So I feel like it is that thing of like when a new Street Fighter comes out, like the cultural zeitgeist will come back and follow it, whether or not they're still into what Street Fighter has to sell or not. It's weird. It just carries that odd favor. In like a different way that like Mortal Kombat does, because I feel like for some reason Mortal Kombat still gets a bad rap as being the violent game, even though you know
the big knock on it ends up being that, you know, it's like, oh, it leans on the fatalities. All it is just flashy murder, and it's not a good fighting game or whatever. And I think like the competitive scenes, I think for those NetherRealm games, it's like a lot of people that don't necessarily play some of the other games. Like, you know, some of that stuff's pretty different. But
yeah, and I was thinking like, oh, could Tekken close Evo one year, or could Tekken eventually eclipse Street Fighter? Like, I think I like Tekken more because it's easier for me to pick up and play. But I still don't think Tekken has the same type of notoriety that Street Fighter does, despite having a movie.
Right. Yes.
That's how you know.
Where's the Tekken movie? Is the question.
Yes. No. There is a Tekken movie.
Shit, there's a Tekken movie.
There's a Dead or Alive movie as well.
movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
What? Also, be right back. I'm going to blip in and out of this call. Don't be alarmed. Having a connection weirdness.
Okay.
Somewhere, somehow, there's always a Tekken movie.
Yeah. I need to watch the Dead or Alive movie. I never did, and Kevin Nash is in it, and I feel like I'm somehow obligated to.
Big Daddy Diesel.
Neat.
Yeah, he plays the wrestler, the whatever. What the fuck is the name of the guy?
Oh, I don't.
In Dead or Alive.
I couldn't tell you.
Bulk. No, it's
I feel like I hear more. I feel like I hear more very good sort of anecdotal stories about Kevin Nash than any other wrestler. Maybe, I mean, or like I'm sure Mick Foley's got the same amount of like, that's a good guy story.
Yeah, man. That's. I have one friend that had an Undertaker tattoo, and then learning about the type of person the Undertaker was behind the scenes. He got that covered up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I could see it.
That is. Yeah. It's not the greatest feeling, probably scheduling that appointment.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I'd like to. Did he turn it into something else, or
is
he
it a
just
Sami Zayn tattoo now?
Like, just like.
He turned it into like a Roman Reigns type of thing. No,
it's the needle mover T-shirt, the worst T-shirt in the history of fucking wrestling. Yeah, he turned it into the Punisher logo.
Oh no!
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, it's fine.
Let's see. There was another announcement as part of this. Before they got to the Street Fighter 6 portion, they announced another game, another collection, the Capcom Fighting Collection. It's a collection of, I believe, 10 games, mostly fighting games. And this will have rollback netcode, and it will have mid-game save state type stuff and all this other stuff. It's a collection of emulated games. This is like all of the Darkstalkers games in one place, which is pretty awesome.
I was really confused. I thought the big countdown announcement was Darkstalkers, and I kind of got excited.
Yeah, I had a moment there too where I was like, oh, because when they said like, check this out, and then the first thing they showed was Darkstalkers, you're like, fucking really?
What?
Okay, all right, okay.
DB
That'd be way
Hood?
more interesting. But no, it's this collection. Let's see here. It's gonna be Darkstalkers, the Night Warriors, Darkstalkers Revenge, Vampire Savior, the Lord of Vampire, Vampire Hunter 2, Darkstalkers Revenge, and Vampire Savior 2, the Lord of Vampire. Where they just take the 3 words Vampire, Savior, Hunter, and occasionally Night Warriors and just fucking pull them out of a bag different ways and go, here's the new sequel. There's a bee lady now.
Ooh.
Those are some good games. It also includes Red Earth, which some people know as Warzard. It's a fighting game that Capcom did that ran on the Street Fighter 3 hardware that no one has ever played.
Warzard? Like a war wizard?
Yeah.
New
Something like
word.
that.
Warzard?
Yeah,
New
Red
words.
Earth is what it's more commonly known as
Whoa.
Learning a lot.
here, but I believe in Japan it was Warzard.
Warzard.
This will also include, because you can't, for as much as they've already done a Street Fighter collection, they were like, oh, we should put some Street Fighter games in here too. They're putting Hyper Street Fighter 2, the Anniversary Edition, which is the weird Street Fighter 2, like all versions of all characters in one game. So you can play like base level Ken against like super turbo Honda or like that, those sorts of matchups that had an arcade release. It didn't, I think I first played it first on the PlayStation 2. So that will be in there. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, which is one of the greatest games of all time. And Super Gem Fighter Mini Mix, which is a fancy way to say Pocket Fighter. This is the game where they took the chibi versions of the Street Fighter characters from Puzzle Fighter and turned it back into a fighting game. And they all like changed costumes, like as part of a combo. Fucking, I think like Zangief will whip out a stop sign and hit people with it. Just all these ridiculous animations and costume changes and all this other shit. It's a very silly game. It's fun enough. I don't know. It's not. It's cool that it's part of this collection. And Cyberbots Full Metal Madness, which has robots in it. I believe in the Saturn version you could play as Cyber Akuma.
Holy shit.
But I don't know if he was in the arcade version or not. Cyberbots is all right for what it is. So yeah, they're gonna do that. That's cool. I wonder how many, like that's 10 games in one collection. I feel like the problem that all these games run into is like, it's awesome that they're going to have online and that it'll probably have really good netcode, but like how many people are ever going to be searching? It does not have crossplay. If you go to their website, they're like, nah, no crossplay. So that divides it even further.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, how am I going to find anyone else that wants to play Pocket Fighter on the particular platform? Like you're going to have to schedule those. That's not like a random search for a match. Unless they add something that's like, hey, I'm okay playing an online match of any of these 6 of the 10 games. Like literally toggle them on and off and just do a search. Maybe that's the right way if I'm okay just playing whatever. But
is Windjammers 2 still like that as well? Not cross-platform?
Good question.
it is not, the PlayStation version is not cross-platform, and the Switch, it came out on Switch, right? Am I crazy? Anyway.
Yeah.
So I think there is cross-play between PC and Xbox with the the Game Pass versions of that game. That's all one user base. I think the Steam version might get folded into that. I don't actually know if the Steam version is its own separate silo or if it's part of that cross-play thing. I asked that same question yesterday on a stream, and someone said there are 22 players playing it on Steam right now. So
no way.
If you're going to play that game, you probably have to play it on the version that's on Game Pass, because that's the only hope you'd have of reliably finding a random match.
That's a bummer.
What?
Yeah. I forgot that Windjammers 2 happened.
I can't tell you if it was this year or last year, though.
Yeah.
It was this year for sure. That's crazy.
This month?
No.
Was it? Was
No.
it late last month?
Last month?
Yeah.
Definitely this year. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. That game seemed cool. But it always seemed destined to not have a lasting Like it'll have a hardcore following of people who go like, hey, do you want to play this game right now on Discord? And then they'll both launch it and play.
Right.
But in terms of just like, I want to see if there are human beings playing this video game, like it doesn't seem like that's going to be a thing for too much longer here. Unless you're in France, maybe. So that's the Capcom news. What else? Sony unveiled the look of the PlayStation VR 2, the upcoming headset they are putting out.
Yeah.
It looks nice. I don't know. It's they always had the most comfortable headset, and this one looks like it might be the same. It is lighter than the previous headset from the looks of things, so that's cool. Here's a little. You'll notice the PSVR 2 headset has a similar shape as the PSVR 2 Sense controller, taking on a matching orb look. The circular orb shape represents the 360-degree view that players feel when they enter the virtual reality world, so this shape captures it nicely.
Okay.
That's what you get when you get the senior vice president of platform experience to write your blog post about the PS2 VR. It's going to have, it looks like it'll have, what is it, IPD, interpupillar distance, like the ability to adjust that,
Nice.
which is nice to have. Adjustable headset, head strap. It's got the turny, clicky wheel on the back from the looks of things. Which was that the PSVR is the most comfortable VR headset to wear as far as I can tell. I've not worn every single one.
I think for what you were getting in that by comparison pretty inexpensive package, I think is pretty damn good. They did make like a 0.5 version of it that consolidated some of the wiring, I think. And
it just made it so like because the initial version could not pass HDR.
Yeah, it was something.
So when they started adding HDR to PlayStation 4 games, it was like, oh, you have to unhook your PSVR if you want to do this, and that's unacceptable. So, but buying a new PSVR to just get HDR pass through also unacceptable. But
totally. But yeah, I mean this seems neat. We'll see. I am still just. I have fallen way off that VR train.
I want to get back on.
Find where I put all that stuff.
I hope it works better. Like I had a lot of tracking issues with that first one, and this seems with the inside out tracking, that's what the Quest 2 uses and a lot of other stuff. Like that stuff's been mostly good. So my hope is that it
Right, you won't need a camera for this, right? Because of that?
No, you will not.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
So, it was nice seeing the controllers and that I wasn't completely sure how I'm going to wind up holding them, but I was also jazzed that I don't need to use the Move controllers anymore.
Totally.
Yes.
I mean, we can all, shoot those into space as well, collectively, along with your ashes. But
thank you.
Thank
you for honoring my wishes.
Of course. Do we know?
Put some of my ashes into a brick and then mail it to the UK. Also, we'll get into that later. But
okay. I think there was reporting a little earlier that went into maybe a little bit more detail about what these controllers are capable of, right? With certain kind of tracking
haptics on the triggers, just like a PlayStation 5 controller would have. Like that sort of stuff. So yes.
I mean,
seemingly better than it wouldn't be hard to be better than a fucking PlayStation Move controller.
No, it wouldn't.
But it seems like they are doing.
I mean, a Move controller is like almost 20 years old or something crazy like that, isn't it? Like that's crazy.
Yeah, they had it in the Street Fighter movie, man.
They used it in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
That's right.
They look, when I played Astrobot, that was like a total game changer. I still think that is my favorite VR game. I'm sure Half-Life Alyx would probably change that, but that was great. So I think there is still a part of me. Again, that game really did fuck me up. And Boneworks game
Boneworks
really ruined me. We're way over a year since the last time I strapped on one of those things, man. Because that is the damage that was done, and I just don't want to feel like that again.
I hooked up my Quest 2, and had to go through like 3 different firmware updates before it was finally up to date, and I had to reinstall all the PC side software. I wanted to get back to a point where I could like wirelessly play some Steam VR games, and it's like every night I would chip away at a little different piece of it. I'd put the headset back on and be like, hey, there's like another firmware update. I'm like, fuck, all right, okay, update, do this, and take it off again. And okay, I'm gonna install the Oculus software over here, which still thinks I'm hooking up a Rift, even though no one's doing that anymore. And it's mostly set up, I think, but I got to a point where I was also like the moment had passed and like, okay, like I spent enough time in VR looking at the fucking Oculus menus and going, God damn it, fucking update already, to where it's just sitting over here. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I should try that out one of these days. But I'm actually, if I'm going to like stand up and move around and do some video gaming stuff, I think at this point I am far more likely to go out into the garage and grab my DDR mat and play some fucking Dance Dance Revolution.
That's some pretty good music.
The ultimate video game.
Half-Life
that
Alex
song,
has to
They
come.
got that song Block, Rock, and Beats that we're talking about.
Oh, that's right. What's that, Jan?
Half-Life Alex has to come out on this, right?
Nothing has to come out anywhere.
I mean,
but
fair.
In a
I would
world where
imagine.
Portal is coming out on the Switch,
exactly.
True.
maybe.
True.
I mean, from what I gather, it's real good, and people should play it. And let's just stop already. I'm sure that game easily could get ported to PS5. Let's go.
Yeah, it's just like, is it in Valve's best interest to put that game, which is still probably the best use case,
Sure.
on their platform?
Right. That is their killer app, quote unquote.
You know,
so.
is that? But I guess it probably behooves them to get more people into VR, just period, because that creates more games being developed. And of course, this user base is still small enough that any game coming out probably has to target every possible platform it can, from native on the Quest to running on a PC through Steam through the PlayStation VR 2. Like, it's still not mainstream enough to where a developer can, unless they're being paid to exclusively develop for one platform, they can't always afford to not do that. So
right. I mean, I feel like that's the one lesson that has been learned the last decade is like, don't gate yourself. Don't, you ultimately wind up in a more, beneficial situation by putting your shit everywhere you can.
Yeah. So if it helps sell PSVR 2s, which then helps sell VR as a concept,
exactly.
if Valve is doing that math, I bet that would be the reason they would bring it to PlayStation 5. But I don't know. That game, it didn't.
Is there any timeline for when the PSVR 2 is releasing?
No.
I don't see any dates here.
Oh,
No.
cool.
They
I wanna
are.
know.
But dev kits are out there, though.
Oh.
So that's the thing. If like third-party developers are making games for this thing, at some point they have to be pretty serious about putting it out. Within maybe not this year, but
I think this year I
could see early next.
Yeah, I could see,
also, depending on component availability and shit like that. Especially like, well, I don't know what goes into these, but maybe there's a situation where they're like, do we make more PlayStation 5s or try to make more PSVRs? Like, oh, we should probably just make more PlayStation 5s.
Right.
Like, we'll see how it goes. I have heard good things.
Take me back to Cooling Springs, but in VR.
Oh fuck
Sure.
yeah! Let's do that. Feel they'll
see.
somehow make the wind feel real too.
That's where I'm
That'll
going
be-
to sell my peripheral. It's a
The
little fan. Yep.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Someone, a third party, tried to make that
Damn
a thing. It's
Like you tie your hands to it, and then every time you move your hand, the fan goes.
Yep.
yeah. No, I think it was literally just a fan that you would point at you and it would like spin up or down depending. It wasn't even anything, no nuance.
Their third eye was
In it at
closed,
all.
man.
Yeah, no, it's exactly. They're just the grifters out there, VR grifters.
It's wild. Yo, make sure this is fan play compatible.
Right, yeah. I just want legs. I know that's like a difficult thing that requires like even more weird dedicated space, but a multi-directional treadmill that I could stand on and run on.
That's how you trick me into exercising.
Yeah, right. Like I did try to, like, I bought the weird puffy sweat absorbent ring for the Rift and started doing a lot of sound boxing and a lot of other like physical movement VR for a while there. And I was like, this is a good workout. And then I was like, what if I just didn't do any of that? And then that was fine too. Yeah, we'll see. I imagine again, if devs have kits, then it's probably no more than a year-ish away. I bet it's out by the end of March of next year. That's my guess. Ubisoft had their earnings call, and they just this is like a kind of a duh thing, but I think it just kind of illustrates as people talk more and more about acquisition madness and how who's going to buy who next and all this other stuff. Like they were just like, in response to a question, just like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, yes, we can certainly stay independent, but if someone offered us something, we would definitely take it seriously. Like, if you got ideas about buying Ubisoft, we would hear them, which is like the responsible thing a company says, in an investment capacity. Like, of course they would do this.
Matthew Rory, buy Ubisoft, please.
That's right. He practically, I mean, yeah, he's...
Stop stalling.
His Ubi Connect Plus, whatever they're calling their goddamn subscription service. Like, he's probably still signing up for that. It is funny when you take into account the gigantic dance number they had on stage where they got out there and Eve thanked everybody that they had staved off the acquisition attempt from like whatever the Vivendi cabal was or whatever, whoever the hell was trying to acquire them against their wishes and stuff. And they were like, thank you for keeping us independent, yay! And then like the fucking Just Dance dancers came out, and the Wavy Tube Man got all fucking nuts and whatever else. And they all had like some kind of weird fucking fur pile on the stage and yiffed, and everybody went home happy. So like you take that in contrast with like, oh, they're like, yeah, if someone came up with a fucking truck of money, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you want to own Assassin's Creed, fucking sure. It's just that's the tone of the world right now, I guess.
Sell the rabbits to Nintendo.
Yeah, that was actually part of addressing the question. They were just like, hey, listen, like we have great relationships with these third parties and we would want to maintain our presence on all those platforms. Like we are using Nintendo's IP in our games. We're the top selling Switch third party, like all this other stuff. It would be crazy if someone bought us and then only made us make games on one platform.
Master Chief and those rabbits, I'd still play that.
You got a point. If they just fucking reskinned Mario and Rabbids to be John and Rabbids, that's still a good game.
Yo, imagine one of those rabbits with an energy sword. That art has to exist.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Somewhere.
Just remake the most recent Halo, but instead of Cortana, it's a rabbit, and it talks in that little gibberish the whole time.
Nice.
The whole game. Same game, though.
Just fucking rabbit hologram that just pops up and it's just like...
I'm playing that.
Yeah, of course. Let's do that.
Rabbit edition.
Speaking of Nintendo, they are planning on winding down sales of digital games on the Wii U and 3DS.
Ooh.
Get them
They're
now.
like, fuck the eShop is what they said.
Ooh.
To be fair, they said fuck the eShop back when they launched the eShop, but
True.
the web version of the store has already gone away. They've already removed, I think, too many people were going like, hey, I can buy games on the Wii U a lot cheaper than your Switch remakes. And they're like, not any fucking more you can't.
Thanks for calling out that bug.
Yeah. But on device, you will still be able to purchase games until March of 2023.
Oh.
And at some point, I think in there's also going to be a sunsetting of their ability to take credit cards. I don't know when that's happening, but it'll be like you'll have to go buy a points card or something to charge up the account, which probably resolves them of a lot of credit card security stuff that they probably don't want to maintain. It's worth noting that, like, as part of that, like the 3DS and the Wii U ran on a previous version of Nintendo's account system. Like they revamped it to something a little bit more usable on the Switch. Still not great. But when you look at what the Wii U and the 3DS were, it's miles ahead of that.
Yeah,
so
totally.
I'm sure there's just aspects of that account system that they're just like, we don't want to fucking run this anymore. and no one's buying any of these games anymore anyway. And they say that you'll be able to download your purchased apps for the foreseeable future, but they're eventually going to shut that off too, honestly.
All the more reason to buy physical media.
Yeah, that's not going to be an option for much longer across the board. Like
That's the thing.
Yeah, physical media is going to be like a boutique item.
I have a PS5 I can't
10
slap
years.
a disc into.
Right,
Yeah,
there you go. I mean,
yeah.
that's
you could try, but it won't work.
Yeah.
I've tried to throw Blu-rays
Get a
at it.
USB. Yeah, I'll send you my Xbox 360 HD DVD drive. You plug that in there.
I save those at the office.
Good. Okay, then you can watch King Kong.
I wonder what that does for certain stuff like Pokemon Bank. It's like
they're making the Pokemon Bank free.
Oh, okay.
So that is their solution. There is that they are just going to make that free instead of charging the fee to use it. So yeah,
there we go. My digital mods will live forever.
Yes,
Nice.
from a preservation perspective, this is the shits.
Yeah.
But this also gives people about a year to archive everything they possibly can off those stores and make sure that they're available in perpetuity on the internet. The internet provides. Bootleggers will provide where Nintendo refuses. The Video Game History Foundation has issued a statement on this that I think I align with quite a bit. They say, while it is unfortunate that people won't be able to purchase digital 3DS or Wii U games anymore, we understand the business reality that went into this decision. What we don't understand is what path Nintendo expects its fans to take should they want to play these games in the future. As a paying member of the Entertainment Software Association, Nintendo actively funds lobbying that prevents even libraries from being able to provide legal access to these games. Not providing commercial access is understandable, but preventing institutional work to preserve these titles on top of that is actively destructive to video game history. We encourage ESA members like Nintendo to rethink their position on this issue and work with existing institutions to find a solution.
Preach.
Yeah, they've, the ESA has been lobbying to try to block any kind of, whether it's ROM hosting stuff, which, obviously is a total gray area, but they're blocking libraries and like institutions that are clearly not out there just like, yo, we want to play bootleg Pokemon games. They're trying to prevent institutions like that from doing their work, from archiving that work in a museum like setting. And I think that's fucking terrible. That the ESA is doing that. Add to the list when we talk about the ESA, really. Yeah, libraries should be able to archive this stuff. Like there should be some legal way for this stuff to exist, because as it stands now, like this announcement led to a huge uptick in people just going like, oh, you should just hack your 3DS. Here's how. And if you just point the camera at this QR code, the game appears on your 3DS magically. Like all the fucking weird things you can do with that 3DS once you've jumped through those hoops. Like just showing people how easy and how powerful that can be. And that, hey, those games will live on one way or the other. It's just that the ESA and Nintendo by proxy is doing everything they can to prevent like a good, clean way for that stuff to exist and making sure it only exists in these incredibly fucking dark corners of the internet that are not actually all that dark.
They're not dark.
And not all that hard to find. And so it's a bad situation that needs to improve, I think. Yeah. So if you're going to buy any Wii U or 3DS games, you got about a year or so before that's not going to be possible in any way. So there you go. We talked about that 2K driving game. Visual Concepts had a job posting where they said, hey, we're working on an open world game with a major license. Did this come up? Did this license come up?
It did.
I don't remember
did.
where.
What,
yes.
What do you mean? Well,
I think
what do you mean
we
did it
meant-
come up? We talked about it.
We talked about it, right? We were talking about Fast and Furious as being like not actually a good fit for that
and I
license.
wanna
And
say somebody guessed this.
I think somebody guessed this. Lego seems to be where that will go. Video Games Chronicle has a report saying that as the exclusivity deal between Warner and Lego is up, Warner, of course, owns TT Games, the studio that has made all of those Lego games for the past forever. That is not going to be extended. That exclusivity deal is not going to be extended, and so it's opening the door for more people to work on Lego games. I don't know if this means 2K is going to get an exclusive license or what, but it sounds like from this report that Sumo Digital will be working on a soccer game, a Lego soccer, and that after that, Visual Concepts will release an open world Lego racing game. The Lego stuff in Forza was cool.
Yeah.
It's weird to I thought it was well done there. It could be a full game. It's just weird to not see Playground Games doing a Lego Forza or something like that. But yeah,
I'll take it. If that means more like easily approachable sports adjacent games, then I'm down.
maybe we get a Lego hockey out of this.
It's just, you read my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You read my mind, which makes sense.
Does like the ice rink, does that have like the little pegs though, or that's just like the smooth side?
Jen, I mean, what are you proposing?
I don't know.
Do
That
smooth
is not.
things exist in the Lego verse?
Yeah, sometimes like the side of the piece.
Yeah,
But like, as someone who has more of these things than most, I feel like at this point in their lives, like there's all those little pieces are pucks, like those one-off pieces.
Yep.
Every piece is a puck when you're Dr. Hockey.
That is the first lesson you'll learn that I put up on the PowerPoint. Every piece is a puck. Anything can be a puck. A can, a leg, right? That is how it
Crush
works.
a can, of course.
Okay.
Everything's a puck. Once you realize that, the true key to unlocking the universe, it all comes easily after.
Nice.
I could see a power up in a driving game being just super glue. You just stick someone to the road.
Oh, like Will Ferrell. What's his name? Dr. Business? What's his name in the fucking movie?
The dad, Will Ferrell. Yeah.
Yeah, what's his Lego name in the movie?
I don't remember his Lego.
It's like Emperor Business or something.
Sure.
Oh shit, that movie rules. But yeah, Crazy Glue. That's the enemy. That's the enemy. That's the villain.
Craggle.
Legos.
Craggle. There we go.
Craggle. Oh, so funny. Lord Business. Thank you. Lord Business.
Lord Business.
The best.
Otherwise known as a MOBA. So I don't know. I think it's it'll be interesting to see what more and more big developers do with the Lego license. Obviously, there's been a bunch of mobile shit. TT Games has had a stranglehold on that Lego stuff for a while, and those games have done quite well. But they've become so formulaic.
Oh my god, yeah. Like imagine someone else getting a shot at it now, right?
Someone
Like
else
that's
making
wild.
a Lego game.
It's gonna
Imagine
be
a world
wild.
where someone else gets their hands on a Lego and
That
does
Star
something
Wars
with it.
game still isn't out, right?
I think you're right. There is still some Star Wars game coming, right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be third person. The demo I saw 5 million years ago looked cool. They gave me a minifig afterwards. That was neat.
Okay. Yeah, we can finally get some developers that get to revisit the core issue around those games and decide, like, once and for all, like, should the Legos talk?
No.
No.
Not even in the movie.
No. We've long since proven that the answer is unequivocally no.
It is my only opinion about Lego games.
I think
It's
it's
a good
okay.
opinion.
A Lego Horizon game, though.
Wow.
That's all
They're
talking.
built. No, they're built. There is a Lego
There's
Horizon.
a Lego. Yeah, there is the making that tall neck or whatever, right?
See, it's easy to trip over yourself and have it actually be a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
like the
you
only thing
can-
is Lego won't work with like M-rated or adult brands, so that Lego Mortal Kombat thing was never going to happen.
Right.
What about in regards to like comic books and movies? Because they have like plenty of like Venom and Carnage Lego stuff.
How many of those are rated R?
Oh yeah, I don't think those are rated R.
Yeah, it's kind of the rated R, rated M kind of thing. Like Venom stuff probably comes out hard T or something, right?
God,
When do I get my
hard
Lego set?
PG-13.
When do I get my Lego set for Midsummer or The Lighthouse?
That'd be a fun. Like a Midsummer floral Lego set. That'd be tight.
Flower
Yeah.
Headdress thing, yeah.
Yeah.
That Lego Masters game show. It's actually pretty fun.
Oh, with Will Arnett.
I just like Will Arnett a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's also really upsetting because part of the contest is like just walking carefully. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Because like these people build these amazing things and then they like force them to push their fucking creations on a wheel cart. And it's sort of just like, well, why are you introducing some sort of like dumbass circus relay race at the end of this? Just
They
go
do that
around to
with,
each
uh,
station.
You got to make sure the builds are stable.
Yeah, but like, fine if it's some sort of like kinetic thing, right? Where you build a roller coaster, you got to prove that the Lego roller coaster you built does a full circuit. I get
is
that,
safe for the little Lego people on the roller
right?
coaster.
But don't tell me you got to wheel it over to fucking Will Arnett, who's 600 feet away.
Hey, you know,
and
another.
then
They
if
do
it, like,
if
I
I
do that
was
same
His voice
shit
is
in-
too gravelly to walk over there himself.
it's like, oh, I can't believe you're pushing it over here. You know, it's like,
Bad hazard in stores now.
it's like,
you know, maybe you accidentally have a couple loose Lego in your pocket and you just throw it down on the ground as you're wheeling your stuff.
Whoa.
there's that too.
Mhm,
There's that
mhm.
element of it too. How did they do more than one season of that show?
They got 2 seasons, baby.
2? Okay.
I like how they stole that. I don't know if this is like standard in all competitions like this, but like cake shows and sugar sculpture shows, they also have the transporting the sculpture
They
moment.
just want like it's just fucking. They just
Drama.
want one moment per
Is that-
season of someone falling,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
is that purely reality TV drama, or is that standard in
Oh,
these
no.
competitions before there was reality TV around those competitions? I
it's
wonder.
They're just peppering in a little bit of anarchy.
I want
Yeah.
a game
I
jam
don't know.
where the developer, after completing the jam, has to deliver the code on a USB
Yeah,
to
they're just like,
whoever.
whoa, shaky.
walk it over to the Mountain Dew machine and plug it in, and yeah,
Yeah, it's a true testament to the game's stability.
yeah.
Like it's on a USB, but you don't know which side it's on, so you might plug it in
Totally.
incorrectly.
I put it in backwards, and I bent the
One
thing on it,
chance.
and now it doesn't work anymore. It's like
One
no.
chance, guess correctly.
There's no shielding on it, so you got to make sure you're not like shuffling your feet and building up an electrical
So
charge.
you have to go through a magnetic tunnel.
Wow.
Try to
It's
keep it
it's
safe.
the end of MGS4,
Yeah.
but with a USB stick. Last story here: Square Enix. Stop me if you've heard this one before. They're claiming that another game developed in the West was a sales disappointment.
Oh no.
This one time it's Guardians of the Galaxy, which seemed to be
Didn't
well liked.
everyone and their dog play that game? What are you telling me? You say
Yeah.
it's a
So-
sales disappointment. What the
I
hell?
don't believe them. They're lying.
I don't know what that game sold. I don't know what they expected it to sell. I feel like that is the classic story that you heard with Tomb Raider and all these other games that Square has published, where they're always like, yeah, it didn't meet our expectations. Like, I feel like the people making the expectations probably need to be fucking fired at this point.
Did you want everyone on Earth to play it? The Pope needs to play this game.
Oh, the
for
Pope
it to
already
have
did.
Sold well.
Yeah. He finished Undertale and moved right onto this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. But this is just becoming a story as old as time.
Yeah.
The quote here out of their investor, the PDF they put out alongside their earnings call is, despite strong reviews, the game's sales on launch undershot our initial expectations. However, sales initiatives that we kicked off in November 2021 and continued into the new year have resulted in sales growth, and we intend to work to continue to expand sales to make up for the title's slow start, which is a little bit better than the typical, like, yeah, that Tomb Raider really shit the bed, huh?
Yeah.
Which is the vibe that they usually have with this stuff.
I don't know. I feel like they shot themselves in the foot with how Marvel's Avengers was, you know, and that left a terrible taste in everyone's mouth. You thought, like, when this, you know, we even in that initial reveal, we were all laughing and a bit like, "The fuck is this? They're doing this again?"
Yeah, I don't think that they did a good job of showing that game pre-release. I think what that game does right
It's
is
radically
hard to show.
different. Yeah,
But yeah, it's easy for me to believe that game didn't necessarily like tear up the fucking charts.
Yeah, like I just don't know what what are your actual standards for selling well is what
Yeah.
it comes down to. It's like I'm pretty sure a shitload of people played this game. It was not like an underground cult hit or anything like that. Like,
But also, you know, it's still Guardians. It's a big single player RPG sort of thing. Like, you know, I could see this missing the mark in some ways, but I just look at that as something that you probably would have known going in, just looking at the type of game you're selling and what you're moving. Like, you know, it's not just enough to go like, well, it's a Marvel game, so it's going to sell gangbusters. And I don't know if that's what they did. They don't really indicate like, hey, here's what our expectations were. They just say it undershot it, which is like, again, kind of classic Square. They're like, oh, this Tomb Raider game that sold millions of copies, you know, I guess it's all right. Anyway, Final Fantasy's awesome. We're throwing more money into the Final Fantasy hole. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bummer.
It's just enough of a trend now that you just look at it and go like, I think that you are maybe not doing great at running your projections or something. There's another bit here where they're kind of just comparing year over year from their portfolio, and they refer to it as their HD games subsegment.
Because this isn't,
you
a
know,
2.5D
diorama
style
don't
game.
run on phones. These are you like these HD video games?
Oh, the fonts actually work here. Okay.
Yeah, you can read stuff. This includes Outriders and the Near Replicant re-release and Guardians of the Galaxy. And saying net sales were lower than the same period of the previous fiscal year, which has seen the release of such titles as Final Fantasy VII Remake and Marvel's Avengers.
why are you comparing it to Final Fantasy VII Remake, the most highly anticipated game in history, practically?
I think they have to explain why sales
So
were lower
funny.
year over year, so they kind of have to say that. And so, but also, yes, of course, yes.
Of course.
The year when you finally brought out the Final Fantasy VII thing that people have been wanting for decades, yeah, maybe that's going to sell okay.
Yeah.
But if like, is that their mark? Also, to have Avengers in that list, when Avengers came out, they're like, oh yeah, Avengers didn't do what we thought it was going to do, to now holding it up as like, this is why this year sucked. Seemed like a bit of sleight of hand to try to fool some investors, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think like didn't Marvel's Avengers, didn't it time out with like a big movie, and then Guardians of the Galaxy didn't time out with any of like the MCU cinematic releases at all.
Yeah, I think also that, like, you're going to see a lot of year over year. Like, it's a lot of tough comps because of where we were in the pandemic,
Right.
and how much more time people maybe had to play games, where now you have more and more people going back to work, or just like things are different now, and gaming is not, as you know, it is still doing quite well, but it is maybe not the hour count that it was a year ago. And so,
And how does Outriders factor into that? Because wasn't that on Game Pass on release day?
I'm sure they just take that as like, you know, here's our lump sum money that we got for that, and set against the revenue that it made on other platforms and whatever revenue it made on Xbox from people buying it there too. But it probably just gets all lumped together into one chunk of money.
Forgot that came out.
Outriders, yeah. That's gonna do it for news. Why don't we take a break and we'll come back and handle a handful of emails. What do you say?
Yeah.
Great. This episode is brought to you in part by Cometeer. Cometeer is the first coffee you melt to make. It's delicious quality coffee that's ready in seconds. Cometeer's freshly brewed coffee arrives flash frozen inside the world's first 100% curbside recyclable capsule. It is super simple to melt your way to hot or iced coffees, lattes, and so much more. You don't need machines or expensive equipment. It's just incredible fuss-free, mess-free coffee. Cometeer's brewing process captures over 2,000 flavor compounds that exist in a single coffee bean, and they offer a wide variety of light, medium, and dark, single origin and blended coffee roasts from the best specialty roasters. And they flash freeze these at negative 321 degrees Fahrenheit inside this recyclable capsule to lock in freshness and flavor. That's right, Cometeer has stumbled onto the best way to brew, preserve, and deliver delicious coffee to your home. And all you really need to do is add water, hot or cold. With Cometeer, you can have a high-quality, balanced cup of coffee in the time it takes to boil water or fill a glass with ice, all for a fraction of the price of cafe coffee. The Cometeer coffees are delicious black, or however you want to doctor it up. You know, what are you doing? You're putting like, I don't know, you're pouring like 9,000 sweetened lows in it. What are you into? I don't know. They're also sustainable. Again, these Cometeer capsules are 100% curbside recyclable, unlike some other coffee cups and capsules I could name. Cometeer brings you the best coffee on the planet. It's incredible, and you can experience it for yourself to try the coffee you melt to make, brewed exclusively in partnership with award-winning roasters. There's a special deal for you right now. Right now. You can save $20 off your first order when you sign up at cometeer.com/bomb. That's COMETEER.com/bomb. And we thank Cometeer for sponsoring the podcast. These pre-cooked meals, you know, it's there's a lot of different people out there that are willing to send you food in the mail, you know, but it's hard to find a fast pre-cooked meal that isn't just like frozen, highly processed, tasteless, all this other stuff, you know. But Freshly is here to prove that food that's fast doesn't have to be fast food. That's right, Freshly is offering quality meals without the hard work. These are designed by nutritionists, cooked by chefs, and then delivered fresh. Other meal deliveries need to be prepped and cooked. Freshly is ready to eat in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. That's not a very long time. That's pretty convenient. You know, things get a little hectic, a little crazy at night especially, and you know, you might not have time to set up all the stuff and cook a full meal. You don't want to keep ordering delivery stuff because that just then adds up. It gets super expensive fast. You know, Freshly. They send you the food. You take 3 minutes, all this other stuff. You don't want to spend an hour cooking dinner after a crazy day, right? It doesn't have to be takeout. It doesn't have to be all this other stuff. Whether it's just for you or it's for the whole family, Freshly gives you convenience, flavor, and nutrition. They're sending some of these over. I don't know. It's they have a wide variety to choose from. You know, some mac and cheese, some chicken breasts. They got a ton of different stuff here to choose from, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. This is delicious, chef-made, nutrient-packed meals delivered straight to your door. You don't got to cook it. You just heat and enjoy in 3 minutes. And, you know, you can use the Freshly website or the app to find meals that fit your lifestyle, plans that work for your dietary needs, preferences, taste, family size, all that sort of stuff. Entrees, like the classic steak peppercorn. Multi-serve sides, like the masterful mac and cheese. And they've got a whole new line of plant-based meals, if that's your thing. Skip the grocery shopping, all the dirty dishes. This stuff just arrives, cooked and fresh, every single week. New meals are added weekly, so you're never stuck eating the same thing over and over again. Stop stressing about dinner. Right now, Freshly is offering you $40 off your first 2 orders when you go to freshly.com/bomb. That's $40 off at freshly.com/bomb. All right, we're back. And that means it's time to check out some emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address for you to send your emails into, and please do. We love to hear from you. That's not true at all. Fucking hate it. No. Yeah,
I'd love to hear from them.
Send in some emails, and we will take them as some of these folks did, as Dan from Canberra did. Probably pronouncing that right. Says, I've been listening to the show for years, but never had a topic I thought to bring to your attention until Capcom's latest announcement. I've always flirted with the idea of fighting games. I liked MK11, for example, but most fighting games just bounce off me. How do you do it? How do you get into Street Fighter and frame data? How do you pick a character? Which platform should I play on, consoles or PC? Should I get an arcade stick? Like, what's a good starting point? How do I stop jumping all the time?
I feel really bad Jason's not here.
Ben always recommended to try out, I think it was the Unial or the Uniist series, because they had a very extensive tutorial. I don't know how that translates to other fighting games. And I don't know if you need a stick.
Yeah, I'd say at first maybe don't buy a stick. If you're having trouble doing stuff, then maybe consider it. But I don't know. unless I'm getting serious about a thing, if I'm just like picking up a game to play it for a little while, like, oh, I'll play a few matches of King of Fighters. I don't drag the stick over and hook it up or anything like that. I just, fuck around for a little bit. A lot of games have pretty good tutorials lately. Unial is an anime game, and sometimes that can be a bit much, but it does do a good job of explaining all the concepts. But
the last Mortal
King of
Kombat
Fighters
game
is a decent one. Yeah,
also had a pretty good tutorial, if I remember.
decent. Yeah, when it comes to that stuff. But how do you get into Street Fighter and frame data? You don't. I mean, if you're asking the question, you don't need to know like, oh, if I do this combo, when I'm done, I'm +2. And so that means I have 2 frames to do something before the other character can react, or like all that sort of stuff. Like knowing what's safe on hit and what's safe on block and all that other stuff. I don't know any of that shit. Just play the game and have a good time. And if you find yourself getting better, like play with people that are about as good as you are.
Yes.
Maybe slightly better, if you want to try to learn. Because if you're just beating people over and over again, you fall into terrible habits like jumping all the time. If like the people you're playing against can't stop that, you're never going to learn that that's a problem.
Yeah, I remember one time Ben and I were just playing the Power Rangers fighting game in the office, and he was getting progressively more and more frustrated with me because I kept jumping. So I do recommend like trying to find a friend or someone online that cannot, maybe not specifically like coach you, but like kind of like call you out on like, hey, like maybe that's why you keep losing, or like that's a bad habit to build.
Yeah.
That
can be good, but I feel like alternately, like if you've just got someone who's just at or around your skill level, just enjoy it at that level and play until you get comfortable and better and then take it out there and see who else you can find to play with. I think that's always how it's worked out the best for me. That's harder these days because the audiences for these games get narrower as time goes on and the player base gets more serious. Like the online stuff becomes a situation where if you're not playing in the first week and you're not great at the game, you're just not going to have an amazing time with it online. As for consoles or PC, I think you can kind of just do whatever. How do you pick a character? I think you're going to know the stuff you're good at and the stuff you like to do. When I first started playing Street Fighter 2 against humans, I played a lot of Guile and I played a lot of Chun-Li, because with Chun-Li, anyone can mash on that kick button until she starts kicking like crazy. Charging an attack, holding back for 2 seconds and holding forward and hitting a punch button was a lot easier for me at the time than doing any of the quarter circle or dragon punch motions that Ryu or Ken had. And so I just went with like, what am I having the most success with on the execution end of things? Like these are moves I know how to do, and that's important. As you grow out of that and you're like, okay, I can do just about anything this game asks of me individually, if maybe not strung together into a crazy combo and the timing and all that stuff. Like I'm not like that. You'll have a better opportunity of figuring out like what type of character do you like to play, because from there it's like, okay, are you good at getting in close and dodging a bunch of fireballs to get like a grappler to be successful? Like I'm not.
It's funny that you because like when I first tried to play as like a charged character, I couldn't wrap my mind around it because I was just so used to just doing the fireball and like a dragon punch motions, that like holding back and playing defensively and picking and choosing a spot rather than just firing off a bunch of fireballs seemed super foreign. When I tried or attempted to get super into Street Fighter 4, for some reason the grapple characters oddly clicked with me. So it is one of those weird things of you kind of do got to try everyone to see what winds up sticking with you.
And I think one of the reasons why I'm annoyed that there's always like 45 characters in fighting games now.
There
so
are
it's like, when am I gonna
variations of each other for the most part.
Or variations on types. Like some types are going to be like good at holding a specific range and just like staying in that zone and throwing off projectiles to keep people out of that zone. Some players are going to be better just like all up in another player's face, just mashing buttons, doing crazy shit. The grapplers, you're going to have to pick and choose your spots. Like, like the Guilty Gear Strive does an okay job of at least like labeling that and saying this is the type of character that we think this player is, that this character is. And so you can kind of get that shorthand that way. But I think it's one of those things where once you kind of learn like what style of fighting game player you are, you're going to know which type of characters you're going to gravitate towards in a given game, and that can help you move from game to game, because a lot of those archetypes are represented.
I wish that fighting games could diagnose what character you would do well with. Like if in training mode you play like a dummy character
Oh,
that doesn't
no.
have any features,
You want the
like,
BuzzFeed?
you fight an AI.
You want the
and
BuzzFeed character
I
selector?
want,
It
I
must
want,
be a
I
pretty
want to
lady.
I want to be diagnosed so I don't waste any time with 40 other characters before it's like, oh, this one I kind of click with, you know.
That would be kind of
It's the
cool.
nature of the beast.
I don't know how you do that, but that would be
I don't know either,
that would be
like,
really neat.
Recognize the kind of stuff that you tend to do. I don't know.
Yeah. Or like, hey, you picked a character and you're just like, you're trying to do this sort of stuff all the time. It's like, hey, listen,
Hey, yeah.
this character is not necessarily excelling at that sort of stuff. Maybe you want to move over here. Maybe that would be a way for them to tackle
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I think it is
haven't,
just, you just put in the time and you just, you'll eventually figure it out.
I
Like,
haven't
but yeah,
enjoyed a fighting game since Super Smash Melee, so
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
that's a
I
completely
haven't-
different thing, you know.
and I haven't been good at a fighting game since the original Smash Brothers, so it's totally out of my wheelhouse.
Also, there's
Yeah.
like an obscene amount of like online resources now. If you do wind up like finding a character you like, you can find someone that's like an expert because they studied the blade on that character.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there are people that get super in depth and people that like really look at it at like a basic level for folks to get into.
Yeah, I think that's the hard thing is like it's tempting to go out and seek that information out, but so much of it ends up being written from such an expert perspective that like they expect you to know a lot already that it's not useful. Like it's the problem with it is the problem with esports, generally speaking, across all genres, I think, is like all games head in that direction to where if you're the sort of person that still likes to just play a variety of games and not devote your life to a single game, you eventually get locked out of a game you might like because you're just like, oh, well, I couldn't keep current and I couldn't keep honed and really good at this thing because I went and played the campaign of this other. I went and played 40 hours of Elden Ring and now I suck shit at Apex. You know, like, you know, there's going to be stuff like that where like, hey, they made a bunch of changes to the game while you were gone and now you're fucking terrible at it or whatever it is. As balance changes, you know, I had that happen with Titanfall 1, maybe. It was like the gun I liked the most got nerfed and then it was not as good anymore and suddenly I wasn't getting as many kills, which arguably, you know, hey, if that's a better balance for the game, then they probably should do that. But I couldn't find another loadout that I liked as much. And it got to a point where it's like, okay, I'm still playing this game, I'm still okay at it, but like I'm not having as much fun and I'm not as effective as I thought I was before. Granted, some of that effectiveness was as a result of an imbalance. So it is what it is. But yeah, like all those changes can happen while you're away from a game and make coming back to it that much harder. And I think that as more and more games try to, it's part of the problem of the games as a service for competitive games is eventually they are just speaking to a choir of people who are so deep into a thing that it's just not, they're losing a lot of the mainstream appeal that maybe they could have had at launch or did have at launch. And that sucks. I don't know. I don't know what, again, like, I don't know how to solve that problem or if there's enough people in that boat that it's worth solving because they're speaking to the players that are playing their game and interacting with their communities and all that other stuff. And that's probably the smart move, but I don't know. It just feels like every competitive game that comes out just eventually reaches a point where it's like, okay, we're speaking to this subset of the whole audience now. And if you're not down with this, like fucking go do something else.
It's like very hard to enjoy something that you are very bad at. Like, speaking from my personal experience, I'm not very good at fighting games.
People
And
play
like,
golf.
you know, whenever
Yeah.
whenever fucking, you know, I'm at like a party and someone brings out Brawl or whatever, or not Brawl, the newest one, Infinite,
Ultimate.
I don't know, Ultimate. It's like, great. Like I'll play 2 rounds, realize that I'm trash and I'm constantly getting my ass kicked, and then it's like, well, this isn't fun. I'll let all these other people have fun. I'll fuck off somewhere. You know, it's not a party game
Smash
anymore.
is a terrible party game.
it's not a party game anymore.
No,
I liked when it
it's
was
not,
a
yeah.
party game, and
Yeah.
it ain't. And like now
But
it's
it
just
can
like, well,
be
I'll
like
just,
if you're playing with only people who are also treating it that way, like it absolutely can be. I think that's
never is that
no
the
one who's
case.
pulling out Smash at a social event is
No.
like doing it because it's a fun video game. I picked up this
No.
sword. They're like, no, we're playing it this way, fucker. And then like that's
no items. Like, you know,
Man,
it's, fuck you.
if someone did that, I probably, I guess I wouldn't leave the room, but I'd make a stinky.
there's
sure.
definitely like
You'd fart in the
okay,
room.
I'd make a
yeah,
poop.
you play one round of that, you realize what they're doing, and you're like,
Yeah,
you
you're like,
guys,
no.
go
And then I
ahead.
leave, yeah.
Get
I'm all
outta
right.
here.
I don't
Yeah.
need to do this.
I'll do something else.
Right.
You know, because it's like this is, even though I used to like it, it's like I don't like it anymore because the vibe is off. Like,
Yes.
people play this to conquer each other, and I'm not here to do that. I'm here to have fun. That's not how I have fun. And it's just like, well, I'll just leave and do something else at this party.
Yeah, and I think
Sucks.
that's the key thing to get into fighting games is to find like your current level and find players that are treating it the same way you are. You can have a good time, and also just like straight up practice makes perfect on a lot of that shit. So even if you're just like fucking around and not playing the game optimally or whatever, you're still spending time with it. You're still getting better at executing the moves. You're still going to learn stuff along the way. And then from there, it's like, okay, how can I take this to the next level? And then you have to make those decisions about how much more serious you want to get. But like, you know, it really is about just finding people that you can vibe with and play that game with and enjoy. So I think that's the best way to get into fighting games. And yeah, that's harder all the time, right? You know, because of how all these games exist and how all these games
I just want
market
to play
themselves.
Rock Band. That's a co-op game, man. Why can't we all get along together and make some music?
I feel like I've gotten into fights over someone sucking shit at Rock Band before.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Like you're
not
fucking it up.
keeping
Oh, I guess we'll
time.
turn on no fail mode, asshole.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's a
Jesus.
Matt from Staten Island writes in
Hey.
and says, my kids have recently discovered Pokemon, something I haven't touched since the 90s.
Welcome.
And ask a question I didn't have an answer for. Can a Pokemon be a Pokemon trainer? I wanted to say no, but Pokemon are pretty sentient in the show, and some of them look
Jeez.
very humanoid.
Is that slavery? What is that? That's a whole new ethical issue if Pokemon can keep Pokemon.
Well,
that-
Or is that just
what it-
work?
I have another question. What the fuck does that even mean?
you
Shut
know,
up, old man. Can a
Like, does that
Pokemon
mean
be a Pokemon trainer?
Throw out a
That's a normal
Pokeball
question.
to release another Pokemon and
I-
say, I choose you.
Why
Isn't
hasn't
that
it
just a
happened
personal
yet?
trainer?
well, you know, it kind of has happened in the first Pokemon movie. You know, it's
There you
it's-
go.
We don't
Me
know whether or
too,
not
yeah.
it's canon or not,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like there have been Pokemon that may not act as a trainer, but kind of act as like, yo, I'm the boss, y'all. I don't have thumbs, so I
Yes.
can't put y'all in balls,
There's
but I can still
definitely-
order you to go out.
Yeah, there's definitely Pokemon hierarchies in their little independent societies and shit like that. But I think that the trainers is a human concept.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would be hard for a Pokemon to be recognized by humans as a Pokemon trainer. I think humans are getting in the way of that being a potential thing that happens.
But if you caught a Pokemon that was a Pokemon trainer, think about how powerful you could be.
Damn, you could
Yeah,
carry more than
right?
6 Pokemon then.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
you could
Well.
stack it? You could
Yeah.
stack Pokemon?
Because then you wouldn't be putting them into balls. They'd just be your posse. This
Yeah.
would just be a Pokemon mafia, I think.
Yeah.
It's a Pokemon pyramid scheme.
That's exactly what it is. You
Mm.
recruit Pokemon that have already recruited Pokemon. Yep.
Yeah.
And then
This
we
is a
start
more
selling knives.
Efficient. This is a more efficient Team Rocket.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. If Team Rocket, but like their way into Amway.
yeah. Meowth can speak, at least in the cartoon.
Yes.
So
Very
Meowth
special.
has probably convinced Pokemon here and there. Pikachu.
Is
Meowth
he is
still
often-
because didn't Meowth have to give up his ability to fight, to speak? Is that what the story was? Didn't he have to give
No.
something up?
he was
learned.
just sad and wanted to impress
was-
the boss.
Okay.
Aw.
No, he wanted to impress a lady Meowth. And
I
then the lady
wonder.
Meowth ended up with that Chad Persian. And all that was for nothing.
What a
Mm.
bust.
He sold seashells by the seashore for nothing over and over again. He looked in on that ballet class and listened to them saying tongue twisters, and he learned.
Also, There are ghost Pokemon that I remember have
Don't get me started on ghost Pokemon. I
There's
have no idea
ghost
what the fuck.
Pokemon.
yes, there's ghost Pokemon.
What the fuck? Where have you been?
Not at all in any way at any point in my entire life paying attention to Pokemon.
That's
is
why
the
I'm
fuck?
here.
God damn.
There's
How do you-
ghost
how-
Pokemon that possess other Pokemon.
How'd
So-
they die? Do they
That's the
all become
question.
ghosts?
That's the question that I
one,
ask. But
no one knows. No one knows.
Did they
No
start
one
as
knows?
ghosts? Because ghost is just a type, right? Is that a?
Oh,
it
is
a
that
type?
like
It's a type.
earth? It's like earth, water, like lightning.
Yeah,
and
the
ghost?
4 elements. Ghost.
Mhm.
That's sick. Is
Ghostface,
Herdier a
Raekwon
ghost?
the chef, inspect a deck. You got.
Yeah.
The,
I think Herdier is normal.
Can Herdier be a ghost? Can I get a
Mm.
ghost
Well,
dog?
all right.
No.
Can I
Actually,
get Zero?
in one of the seasons of the show, there was a Stoutland, which is the final evolution of Herdier. He died. He just like dissolved.
I feel like we
Did he-
don't talk a lot about Pokemon death in a way that I've at
No,
least heard it bubble
it's
up.
a hotly contested niche argument, Pokemon death, as well as what's up with, are they food? Can they be food? Do people eat
right.
Pokemon
Oh, they've
ever?
been food.
Can we
They've
start?
been food.
Can we start a cover/tribute band that plays Pokemon music in the style of Napalm Death and call it
Whoa.
Pokemon Death?
Yes, that would be quite the violent
I
sounding
would contribute to that.
situation. But yeah, I'm down.
Okay.
I'll play ukulele.
Ben in Cincinnati
So-
says, "Does anyone else think the Street Fighter 6 logo looks like a new crypto coin?"
Oh,
It does, yeah.
Yep.
Oh fuck! Why do you gotta say that?
Yeah, it's like speaking that into the world. You can be like, fucking
Guess what you just
yeah,
did?
my fucking RYU NFTs.
Very wide NFTs.
Oh, that was also part of that Square document they put out alongside their earnings report. Was something that's like, we think NFTs are gonna be a big deal. Like, they're still, I think them and Ubisoft are the only ones left. Like,
Just-
EA backed away and went like, fucking, we don't want trouble, man. Not Square.
The Street Fighter logo looks like a waypoint on a world map.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Like it looks like you got to check in with the SF. That's your hub.
Yeah, like
or
that's a
something.
guy that you're seeing for missions,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna finish his storyline, and then he's either gonna die or join your posse, depending on which thing you choose.
Totally. And like the little 6 means you have 6 missions left.
Mhm.
And it's that's what they did.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 6 open world fighting game. You heard it here
Whoa.
first.
Whoa.
I'd play that shit. I
Yeah.
might actually try that.
You gotta climb the tower and
All
then
of a
fucking
sudden-
punch
Yep.
the tower.
All of a sudden Ryu has a truck. Makes more sense now.
It does make a lot of sense. He's his own vehicle.
How you going to get around? I'm
You're
a
gonna
truck.
ride Ryu like you've always dreamed. Hans from Lund, Sweden writes in with something I'm curious about but haven't had time to try. Just popping in to say the DualSense support in the new Cyberpunk patch is at least as good as a first-party Sony game, and
That's
might be
cool.
the best I have experienced if you don't count Astro, of course. Driving has a nice, driving has a nice kick in the triggers when shifting gears. The gun's recoil really pushes against the triggers when firing, and the controller speaker gets a workout as well with all the calls. I did see in the patch notes that they had made basically any voice that is coming out of V's head or any call that she gets. So like when Keanu talks to you or whatever, all that stuff comes out of the speaker, which I would immediately turn off because I don't want a controller speaker.
I
period.
almost like universally hate the controller speaker stuff.
Yeah. It's like, here's this sound, but now it's way tinnier and fucked up. Isn't it
Ugh.
funny that it's coming out of your hand? Like, yeah, I guess, but no, thank you.
There's a couple instances of it where it's been just like enough of a helper. Like I think sometimes people realize the best way to implement it, and it's not just play shift sounds onto it. It's like use it as some sort of supporting thing. But yeah,
I just feel like I always, and I think some of this is born out of someone who captures footage of video games. When it's coming out of the speaker, it doesn't get captured.
Right.
So the first thing I do is turn that fucking shit off.
totally.
So I'm sure that's probably part of it. It was novel when, when Manhunt came out on the Wii and you held the Wiimote up to your ear to get the
It was
calls
a
from
phone, yeah.
Brian Cox or whatever like that. That was neat. Anyway, yes, I am gonna probably look at the patched up the new console versions of Cyberpunk at some point.
Rory
out of
was so high on
curiosity.
that game. I feel like I gotta circle back to it now.
Yeah, I
Man,
think
at this point he can't walk it back, so he's in it to win it, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. I disagree with
This is
a
the new
lot of
Mr.
that. But like,
Shifty.
yeah, that's we're gonna have to, next time we talk with him, we're gonna have to put the screws to him and say what's better, Mr. Shifty or Cyberpunk,
Oh yeah.
and see what answer we get then. Stephen KC writes in and says, do you catalog your collection of games, and if so, what method do you use? I was messing around with an app on my phone called Game I capital E, and it seemed decent and gave suggested prices for each item. I did notice that every time it priced sports games, the NHL game was always listed for less than the other sports games. Sorry, Bacalar, the free market has spoken and nobody likes hockey, says Steve and Casey.
What a fucking incredibly inconvenient way to work out a hockey jab. Like, come on, dude.
Probably correct, right? I mean, not that
Who
any
cares?
sports games retains value from year to year.
Yeah, but like it's the same argument like all these people make. And again, we'll get back to the cataloging question, or will we? Because you decided to fucking detour in a way that maybe we don't want to talk about that anymore.
yes, Steve.
Like people who tell me like, oh, how could you like hockey? It's so unpopular. And it's like, that's the way I fucking like it. I like it. I don't care if everyone else likes it.
Yeah,
They're stupid. Most people are stupid and they don't understand why hockey's good. That's a good thing for me personally.
You have me like on half of that. The part where you're like, most people are stupid. I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Yes, well, people are look, and you know, it's the same. Look, people love the NFL so much. The rest of the planet couldn't give a fuck about football. Could not give a fuck about it.
That's very true.
I could not care.
I would be more
Soccer's
likely
awesome.
I would be more likely to watch a hockey game than a football game.
There you go. That's all I need to hear.
Like like if you asked me, I would be like, yeah, no, sure, I guess.
The NFL is like the equivalent of the fucking imperial system of like measurements. It is just like it is uniquely American and it's so stupid, and everyone else doesn't care about it and doesn't pay attention to it and makes fun of us for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same.
We make fun of
thing.
soccer, and everyone else is way into soccer.
Yeah,
It's no
the whole
XFL.
planet's like, yeah, we love soccer. Actually, it's the most accessible sport on the planet. You know,
Fuck soccer.
wow. I'm not about
Yeah.
to say fuck soccer. I love soccer. It's just warm hockey. But
I really
back
love
to your
baseball.
Hockey's better than soccer, I'll say.
Baseball's still pretty cool. I know it's boring as hell.
yeah, I mean,
that-
look, baseball's fine. It's baseball is slowly like drifting out of being a sport. I feel like
Baseball is the podcast game of sports.
Yep.
It's a thing you put on and you're like, this is cool that it's on over here, but I'm going to do like 3 other things over here.
yeah, totally. Like
and
I wrote my best books watching baseball games.
Yeah.
Like that kind
hey,
of
you want to go
thing.
out to eat? Where you want to go? I don't know. The baseball game? Yeah, I guess. Sure. Let's go
I
eat a bunch
mean-
of garbage and get wasted and watch baseball.
That is kind of the move, going to like Citi Field where the Mets play. It's like there's so much great food and beer here, and there's a baseball game going on.
Yeah,
How
it's like,
about
there's a
that?
thing you could look at. This is fucking nuts. Look at these guys. At least
I
the
mean,
weather's
like,
good. Yeah.
I'm the one with in the sports fandom that no one will ever make a video game out of. So
What's that?
sumo
Sumos.
wrestling. There's
Oh,
been like
well,
2
I mean, you
games on
know,
like the
that's-
NES or some shit, and they suck.
Yeah.
E
At some
Honda.
point,
What are
you
you
gotta
talking
look at
about?
the numbers, Jess.
And
You
the
gotta,
Honda exists.
you gotta do some market research and sort of weigh those pros and cons there. That's
Well,
I think
the
Yokozuna
the
was in
sumo
one of the WWF games back on the
Oh,
Genesis.
that's another one.
You know, that's another one.
Rikishi also probably might have been in something, but there was that sumo mini game in one of the Zelda games. Which one was that? Twilight Princess? It was a
What?
Goron sumo
Oh,
mini
right.
game.
Oh my
That was cool.
God.
That was cool. Yeah,
Oh,
get
I
on my
feel-
level with niche sports though.
This is a tough one. I to answer this person's question, even though he or she does not deserve the answer, I use Notion. Lucy James could change my organizational databasing life with that suggestion about a year ago, and I use Notion for pretty much any kind of cataloging thing that I'm interested in doing. It is malleable enough where you can kind of make it do what you want. And Jean-Luc actually at one point
Oh my god.
posted a really good Notion template that was perfect. So go search on Twitter and look it up, and you can just implement his template into your Notion. Beautiful.
John
feel
Luke
like
is the
I
most
want to use
organized
Notion.
person I've ever met.
It's amazing. Like if that's any indication of how his other shit goes, like my God.
I want to use Notion. I just don't know what I would use it for. I'm not looking for a game collection thing, but I just like in general, like to do like I'm using Simple Note for everything because I just want a cross device sort of thing that I can just like scribble notes down on. But like, Notion seems powerful, but like then I installed it and looked at it and went like, I don't know what the
it's just
fuck
a databasing
to do with this.
It's just a databasing app. It's disguised as like a lot of other things, and I think it also like sometimes tries to act like it's something it's not. Like you can get away with like scheduling and making to-do lists and stuff, but for like note taking, I think there's better stuff out there.
Yeah.
List making, that kind of stuff. There's better stuff out there. Surprising. I'm actually pretty surprised. Microsoft OneNote is pretty good for note taking. I found. In a weird way. I think it's like built into Windows. You can't escape it. But
I think I forcibly uninstalled that and OneDrive and a lot of the other stuff. Just like command line destroyed that and Cortana and everything else.
But yeah, check out Notion for the cataloging stuff. I fully endorse that.
For game stuff, I use collectors.com.
Wow.
Or CLZ.
That's still kicking around?
That is still kicking around. They have a web-based version of it. These are all subscription services, which is kind of the downside. They have an iOS app. They have a desktop client, and they also have a web version. I use the desktop client and the iOS app. I specifically need something that has a barcode scanner. And because I am dealing with, now it's all cataloged, so the work is done, I guess. But, I was trying to get a garage with about 5,000 games in it to a place where I knew what I had. And for that, I am not going to fucking enter all that shit by hand. That's fucking crazy. So their database is pretty good, especially when it comes to regional stuff. I feel like the GameEye database, every time I look at it, it looked like it was, and it's been a while since I've used it, but if I'm remembering correctly, I need something that tracks multiple regions of games separately. So I can say, I own 3 versions of this game all on the same platform, but they are from 3 different regions. I get no use out of an app that just is like, what game do you own? And I go like, it's Beverly Hills Cop for the PS2. And then I hit enter and go on and then move on to and it's just names and platforms. That's useless. It's not enough. I need more. So the collector's stuff does that pretty well. I was using a program prior to that called Delicious Monster. That's like a Mac only thing.
Oh my God. I
Delicious
remember
Library.
That. Yes. And it like gave you a virtual shelf, right?
Yep. Yeah. And
I did that for books back in the day.
Yeah. And so with that, you could I bought a literal fucking barcode scanner.
Yeah.
And was just going around beeping things, and that was a lot of fun to do in a sick way.
Hell yeah!
And then Amazon changed some API, and they lost access to most of their data, and it became a very different, way less useful app. So I had to find something else.
Delicious Library.
Yeah, but there's other stuff. There's libib.com, libib.com. They have a decent free service that you can pay. There's a tier to pay for as well, I believe. Their stuff seemed okay. At one point, I migrated out of Delicious Library into Libib, and then out of that into the collector's stuff, and that's where I am now. But they don't do good with arcade stuff. There's just platforms they don't have. At one point, I emailed them and said, like, hey, have you ever considered adding this to your database? And they wrote back and said, you're going to maintain it? And I was like, no, I am fucking not. But I get it. You're a small team, of course. Yeah, that was always one of my desires for the database that we control here at giantbomb.com, because we keep barcode information and stuff for multiple platforms and regions and all that other stuff, was to eventually parlay that into some kind of collection tracking sort of thing. But that hit the brick wall that all cool new features do, of like, you gonna make money on that? I mean, going like, I don't know, maybe some people would sign up for that. Probably not. And they're like, all right, cool. We got ads to develop. I'm like, oh, awesome. Have fun with that. But we do theoretically have the building blocks in place to do something like that someday. Let's see. Ian in Denver writes in, the The question that comes up a lot around this stuff says, why don't all fighting games have rollback netcode? I don't play a ton of fighting games, but aside from just from reading and listening to people talk about it, it seems like rollback is pretty much considered the gold standard for online play and has been for quite some time. Yet it always seems a question of whether or not a game is going to have it. Is it expensive or time consuming? Are there other less obvious factors that may lead developers to actively prefer other methods? So my understanding is that it is not trivial to add the thing I heard, and this seems like it's been surmounted in some ways because you do see a lot of newer games that do have it, but that a lot of it was like the way it was often done back in the 360 days is you kind of had to keep the entire game running multiple times to be able to roll back to the state that you wanted it to be. So it was sort of a thing of like the resources required to keep the ability to roll back it was significantly more than delay based netcode or just like running a local version or whatever. So it seems like in a lot of cases, if a game has been thought of from the ground up as like, oh, we need to put rollback in this, that they're able to achieve it, but it wasn't something that just kind of comes for free. And so that's why, and I think also there was significant resistance coming out of a lot of Japanese developers for this sort of stuff because they never really saw it as a big deal. And I think the pandemic has hopefully opened some more eyes to like, oh, we should actually care about the quality of our online game because that's going to matter. That might matter. That might matter.
Longevity.
Yeah. So hopefully Street Fighter gets it. I mean, it would be dumb at this point if it didn't. But the Street Fighter V netcode, I think they were talking at some point like, oh, we'd love to be able to improve it, but we made a lot of decisions early on that made that impossible. So hopefully they are thinking long and hard about what to do from here. But yeah, that was always the reason I heard back in the day, and now that's ancient information at this point. So I don't know what the reasons would be today, but back then it was like an element of like, hey, some of these emulated games, it might be a lot easier to just like maintain those states in memory at all times fast enough to do rollback in a way that, you know, at the time was not as possible when you were playing a more modern game. So there you go. Last question. Jacob in Wichita, Kansas, who says, keep on rolling, says, so I just saw REO Speedwagon in the small town of Salina, Kansas.
Oh.
Nice.
In a venue that held 7,500. The place was called the Tony's Pizza Events Center. So I ask you, what's the weirdest named venue or arena you've been to, and who did you see?
Oh.
I live near an REO Speedwagon street or way, by the way.
That's
Nice.
Something
interesting.
It's something to do with Champaign, Illinois. I don't fucking know. I guess they're
All
from
right.
here.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
That would make sense.
I guess at the Alameda Fairgrounds, I saw Shaggy playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I didn't actually go watch because I'd have to pay $15 more. I just hung out outside next to the fake Jack Sparrow and heard him do the song. The two songs I like.
Yeah, well, if you heard that, then I mean, yeah, it's you don't need to see Shaggy to experience
Probably
some of the magic.
Weird that he would do It Wasn't Me and then the Angel song back to back.
Those are the two ones, right? That
Yeah.
I mean,
everyone
if your
knows
set's gonna like peak in the middle,
Yeah.
like that's probably where you're doing it. But also, is he maybe the type of artist that opens and closes the set with the hit?
Ooh, that's bold. I feel
Yeah.
like if he's playing to a county fair, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a county fair type of show. You're just like, all right, we're gonna do It Wasn't Me twice. Fuck it.
I could have seen Smash Mouth at the fucking Corn Fest, the Sweet
Oh my
Corn Fest.
There's
There's a
wow.
Sweet Corn Fest.
Corn with a C.
No, it's not. It's just there's corn. You eat corn.
No,
And,
like the
like
band.
Like corn.
Yeah,
No,
corn with a
no,
C or
not
with a
the
K.
band, with
Okay.
a
Oh,
C.
C,
Yeah,
okay.
you just eat.
Oh, with a
corn.
C. Got
That's
it.
You just
yeah.
eat corn and see Smash Mouth.
Smash
Like on
Mouth
a-
shows
on the
their
cob?
songs.
Which way
On the
does
cob,
the lead
yeah.
singer of Smash Mouth eat corn?
The wrong way.
Mm,
whichever way is wrong. And I'm sad I didn't get to see him because it would have been free, and it was right before the unfortunate businesses that happened with Smash
Yes,
Mouth.
his
Now that's not
unfortunate
an option.
affairs. Yes.
Yes. So I could have seen him. Fuck up at the Sweet Corn Fest, but
Did you see that fucking interview with the fucking Boss Tones guy?
With Dickie Barrett?
Yeah, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
where he like quadruples down on the just
No.
like, I want to be the fucking guy that brings anti-vax fucking reality to
boy.
ska or whatever. It's just like, it's fucking nuts.
Shut up. For real?
Yeah.
Old punks are bad.
Yeah.
That's not completely true. And
That's mostly
number
true.
two, he's
Okay,
not, I mean,
who
he's a
was,
very old punk. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, and number two, what? He did what?
There
It's
was
a-
Is
some
that,
other
is that why the
punk
Boss Tones
frontman.
broke up? Because
did you not hear that? That's why the Boss Tones broke up.
Oh, I've like completely.
He produced some anti-vax anthem, and then like the
What?
day after that was revealed, they fucking broke up. And then now there's an interview like this week where that I just saw like yesterday, some clip of it where he's just like, oh yeah, I want to bring the fucking the thunder, the anti-vax thunder, the truth, like whatever it is.
There was some other like
that is
old punk guy like 2
fucking
years ago
bananas.
that came out as like very pro-Trump, and everybody's like, man, fuck this shit.
That's wild. But again, like, I guess no, I mean, it would be weird if it was like a highly politicized like punk rock band coming out and be like, you know what? Authority is kind of cool, actually.
We
Like,
decided.
you know,
I mean, that's Kid Rock, right? I mean,
I guess
like the
I don't
fucking
think anyone
the Hey
confused
Authority
him.
fucking middle finger Twitter picture that he fucking posted, and now look at his fucking bootlicking punk ass. What a fucking piece of shit.
That is the Dickie Barrett thing. I don't find unbelievable. I think it's just a very random sort of fact that has now entered my brain for the first time.
Okay.
If you told me like, if you told me like Tim Armstrong from like Rancid all of a sudden became like
Oh wow.
like anti-vax, I'd be like, that doesn't compute. But yeah, that's fucking
Operation
weird.
Ivy they got back together,
Yes.
but the message is a little different now. They decided to really
yeah.
they're speaking their vaccine truth and like just
Well, you said they got back together, but there is really good video of the three of them playing. They
like
were
recently?
at some,
Oh, I didn't
yeah,
even
they were
know.
at
Oh,
some
shit.
like
Okay.
party in I don't know if it was Berkeley or something, but yeah, they like they played a couple songs, which was really weird to see.
that's crazy.
But yeah, the certain stuff would just throw me through a loop. But
Jello
well,
Biafra is
yeah.
still cool, right?
I
Depends on
don't.
who you ask.
Yeah, I don't keep up with that dude.
Yeah.
And by cool, I mean not a bootlicking Trump fan.
Yeah, I think that much is probably
I want to say
true,
like
but
you really have to pivot pretty hard.
Jello's not
you know,
cool anymore.
fucking
Who's
Johnny
what
Rotten
has he
fucking
done?
made that pivot, but he was always
Johnny Rotten, yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
sort of a
yeah, I
fucking
guess.
fuckboy. When I was in a band, we played at a place called Rico's Teas and Greens, which was a mini golf course, and we played in the corner, and it was they had pizza for sale as well.
Cool.
Nice.
That's
Say
cool.
they didn't give you free pizza for playing?
I don't think they did. I don't
Come
remember.
What a
I
crime.
don't remember.
Is the question like very strange? I forget what they said. Very strange.
Weirdest
places?
named venue.
Oh, weirdest
Oh.
named. Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I saw my friends put on a punk rock and ska show at a place called the Grand Slam, which was just a like indoor sports
Just a
complex.
Denny's.
mm,
You know? Yeah, right.
nice. Yeah.
Delicious.
Uh,
Hungry dead.
Yeah.
delicious.
All right. With that, go get some pancakes. That's gonna do it for the show.
Hungry.
Thanks everybody for hanging out and listening, all this other stuff.
Dickie Barrett thing's so crazy.
Dude, it's nuts. It's nuts.
I
Like,
gotta watch this.
yeah.
Boy.
but it's like watching some of these guys just like the views and having them not line up with where the music seemed like it was coming from and stuff. Like the John Lydon stuff, like that happened a while ago. That was like what, like a decade or more that he was like, oh, Johnny Rotten's maybe not the guy you thought he was, but
Yes.
also, but isn't that provocative? I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to know where these fucking guys that are just like, I'm anti whatever people are into, and that's my entire thing. So I'm going to be pro the thing I was anti before because I'm going to do this over. Like, it's
Yeah. Trace my track record. It checks out.
Yeah, I'm always an asshole to someone. That's the giant Bombcast motto.
Oh man.
Yep.
Speaking of musicians, Daft Punk is doing something on Twitch right now. I don't know what they're up to.
Thought they broke
but
up.
In 2 minutes, Daft
Didn't they
Punk
break up
They're
is
like a
doing-
year
streaming
ago?
Vampire Survivors.
They better not fucking
Sick.
do an NFT. I'm gonna scream.
Yeah,
They are an NFT. I feel like you look at them and they're a lot of
no.
inspiration drawn from that.
No. All right. Well, let's see what that is. Thanks everybody for hanging out for the show. We'll be back next week with more of that. Elden Ring is out this week. Maybe we'll do something with it.
Seems
At some point.
very likely, right?
The Steam Deck is going on sale this week. Maybe we'll have something to say about that at some point in the
Perhaps.
future. Who could say? Come back and check it out. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Hi.
Thank you.